Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome. Hello. Me mute and unmute, undeafen. Where's all my stuff? Uh-oh. Sterling can't hear me yet. Oops. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes, I can. I started talking. I was like, oh yeah, I'll talk to chat. And then I'm like, oh wait, Sterling is looking right at me. As I'm just like, it's just a void for you. Welcome. Hello. Sterling, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to see what we've got in store for us today because
Sterling, how you
Scarlet
doing
and
today?
Violet are so new, and the competitive scene is like just now starting to be being brought together. And so I have no idea what we're about to see. I'm really excited to find that out.
Yeah, I am. I'm super stoked. I have had something like this in the back of my mind since the games were announced. And it was so exciting to get our hands on the game. And then I played through the story in like a week. I think I actually completed my Pokedex in a week.
Wow, that's incredible.
Something like that.
Really incredible.
And then as soon as the ranked ladder went live, I was like I hit Master Ball tier, and I was like, all right, let's do this thing. We are in VGC Town now.
For the uninitiated, Master Ball tier is the highest tier in competitive, correct? Before you get to the top 500 or something.
Yeah, so it goes. It's 10 ranks of. So it's beginner, I think they call it. Then Pokeball, Great Ball, Ultra Ball tier, and then you're in Master Ball tier. And once you're in Master, you start getting numbered by like how how good you are in the world. And so it was really cool to like hit that within a week.
Do you need me to boost my volume on my end?
I just boosted you up.
Okay, cool. Let me know if you need me to boost it at all. Yeah, that's absolutely incredible that you hit master tier so quickly.
So it's just fun. And to get more people into the hobby is really, really cool. So even just like in the last couple weeks, as our competitors have been building teams, figuring out how this kind of thing works, my direct messages now are full of, "Hey, Billy, how does this Pokemon work?" And I'm like, "Well, here's the ways I've seen it work." And then it's just full of like these team building questions and getting more people hyped for this stuff. And it's been really cool and rewarding, and I'm so excited to see everyone's teams in action today.
And these games in particular added a lot of really interesting abilities that can be used between each other. Just a lot of new ways to build a team, not necessarily Pokemon by Pokemon, but ways that you can influence the rest of your squad getting into the match, which is awesome.
Yeah. So let's as our competitors are kind of getting ready. So chat, if there are any questions you guys have regarding Pokemon VGC stuff, we're gonna kind of talk a little bit through some of the basics of it and kind of what you're gonna see throughout today's matches. But if there are specific questions as things are going before the matches start, this is your time to start asking them. But for those that don't know, the VGC stands for the Video Game Championship Series. And as you know, Pokemon is a huge franchise. I mean, we're talking Pokken, like fighting game, which rip Pokken, that got one season and now it's done. But we had Pokken, we have the trading card game. Pokemon Go has a competitive scene. And then,
Pokemon
of course,
Unite.
Pokemon Unite. Yeah. So,
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, competitive Pokemon is everywhere. But I think what's interesting about the video game series is it's the only one of those that differs from the core experience. So in the regular Pokemon matches, like you're playing through the game, you probably run into like one or two double battles where you have two Pokemon sent out at the same time. And that's all the VGC experience is. The official rule set is double battles, which is just a whole other layer to the game that completely changes your team building. There are moves that only work in double battles. And so that's kind of the first like hurdle when it comes to VGC is the double battle aspect.
Right. I'd continue off that to say that there's almost as equal of a big change in the size of your team. You have 6 Pokemon on your team, but you have to pick 4 of them to take into the match with you.
Yeah.
And so a big game is deciding what are they going to take, or what 4 of their 6 are they going to take.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas, like, if you're to look at team preview in a singles match, you're like, that those 6 Pokemon are coming out at some point. And so your team is to build around other teams of 6 Pokemon. Whereas now, you can a lot of team builders are building with, like, 2 modes in mind, where, like, there's, like, a core mode that they're really trying to strive for that's maybe, like, the most optimal, but then they have a secondary mode that they can kind of flip into when they need. And then not only that, you have to think about type matchups on their own. Like, you might have a weather core. The team that I got to Master Ball with utilized snow, the new mechanic that they replaced hail with. Right. My cat wants to come cast as well. But that was my core, was the snow variant. But then I also had this other variant where I'd bring Amoonguss into Trick Room to try and put things to sleep and just hope I could sweep while the enemy is sleeping in a Trick Room. So there's all kinds of stuff, and I can tell you so everybody had to submit their teams to me prior to the games today so that, we could make sure everything was legal and, be able to help out if there were team questions, those kinds of things. But we have a lot of really interesting teams tonight that are going to be really, really cool to see.
Yeah, and I think there's one more layer that we haven't really touched yet, and that's the new mechanic to Scarlet and Violet, terrestrialization.
Yeah, it's
there's a
massive
whole new level of predictability you have to make.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can suspect with some Pokemon it's like, okay, they're going to have this type of terrestrialization to completely change their type. But you can put any new type on any new Pokemon.
Yeah, and so for those that maybe aren't as into it right now, is that basically if you had a Pokemon that was Fire and Psychic, and you terrestrialize that Pokemon into a Psychic type, they lose the weaknesses that they would have to Water, because then they become pure Psychic type. But they retain the original bonuses to using Fire type moves, despite no longer being a Fire type. And so it adds this whole dynamic of, am I going to hit this Pokemon for super effective, or is it about to become a resistance or even possibly an immunity? And any Pokemon can terrestrialize into any type. It's kind of a pain to do that. But I mean, our competitors have had at least a few weeks to prep. So if there's a Terra that they were really after, they could absolutely have a Pokemon with that.
That's going to be the biggest play. The biggest thing to deal with this season is, one, like, making sure you have the time to go change the terrestrialization.
Yeah.
Because that does require a lot of time and effort. Mm-hmm. And what I love looking at our roster today is it looks like they have put in the time and effort. There's quite a few interesting terrestrializations. I'm very excited to see how they play out.
A couple things too, before we get into matches and stuff, is that one of the key things about terrestrialization is that sometimes you gain passives and sometimes you lose passives by terrestrializing. And so one of those things that we're gonna have to watch for in the maneuvering process is, when to terrestrialize. And that hasn't been answered. Even the pros don't know right now, like, really when to terrestrialize. We're still in the wild, wild west of meta development. And so, some people may terrestrialize turn 1 to get an early lead. Some may save it till the very last moment to get a surprise comeback, Yeah. And that's
do you have a preferred way yet?
My terrestrializations right now are not very optimized in my teams. So it really comes down to which one is going to make the most use out of the extra damage output. Because if you terrestrialize into a type you already have, it actually increases your stab bonus, the same type attack bonus.
You get it goes from from times 2 to times 4, if I believe.
Basically. Yeah. And so my typical one is I have a King Gambit who is Steel and Dark type with Sucker Punch. And so I will reserve King Gambit's terrestrialization of Dark type to get a +2 or ×2 plus Life Orb plus Supreme Overlord 20% sucker punch into a surprise enemy that's not quite ready for that, for a surprise knockout they thought they were going to get to use. And so something like that, or I run Avalug in Trick Room with Iron Defense Body Press. It's an ice type. And so the goal is to set up Snow and Aurora Veil so Avalug can set up Iron Defense. As soon as the Snow goes away, I terrestrialize it into Fighting type to get Stab Body Press. So it's kind of the positioning. Once I feel I'm in position and can make use of it, that's when I go for it. Because mine aren't built around resistances or immunities. It's all about the damage.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, other tricks that I have seen though, as an example, and I don't have the team roster in front of me right now, so I don't think I'm giving anything away. But I ran into a Dondozo strat on the ladder where they're normally a water type, big, bulky, and the way we deal with it is with Amoonguss to put it to sleep and to use Clear Smog to remove its boosts. Yeah. Well, this one was Steel Terra, so it totally just got to set up on me because Poison can't hit Steel, so I couldn't click Clear Smog, and they had Sleep Talk in their move pool, so I couldn't click Spore. Right. And so I was just sitting there on the field with nothing I could do as this Dondozo just swept my team.
We do have a distinct lack of Dondozo today.
Yeah.
Which I was very sad about because I love his potential in competitive. The
Dondozo. What's really fun is so I watch a lot of competitive Pokemon, like daily competitive Pokemon content, and watching some of the top players, and like Dondozo was like around when the game was like starting, right? And then it dropped off, and then Wolf Glick, the man, the myth, the legend himself, got to number 1 with the Dondozo team as soon as the ladder went live. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, that happened like as soon as the ladder went up, and then of course every other team on the ladder is going to be this Dondozo team. Yeah. And then people develop a hard counter, and then it drops off, and then it comes back, and so that's kind of this thing where we've only had the ranked ladder up for about less than a month.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so like it feels like the meta's kind of developing, like daily still.
That's the magic of games like this. Like even like I've been on a huge Overwatch kick lately. Like anytime some small change gets made, it can throw off everything because you need to develop those new hard counters, then counters to those counters, and constantly figure out what you need to do to be the least counterable, essentially.
Yeah, and it's always the inclusion of rental teams are really cool because it gives people an opportunity to be able to experience the game without having to dunk 30 hours to build a team, or like even just to figure out how this thing works. But it also adds the kind of the bane of running into these meta teams over and over and over again, which can either be really good for you or really bad for you depending on your team.
Yeah, and that's just what to expect, honestly, is keep yourself informed, know what the current meta is, and see if you've got a way around it. And you can just pray. Honestly, a lot of these games is just luck. There's just the crit component alone.
Oh man, that's a whole thing. Oh, I'm being asked about what kind of soda I have. It's Mango Pepsi. Not sponsored, but could be sponsored.
Yeah. Do you know what my first ever username was for like streaming and YouTube and stuff?
What?
It was Pepsi Dude 2015.
Pepsi Dude.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna get popular on Minecraft YouTube and get a Pepsi sponsorship, and that's gonna carry me to victory. That was the plan.
Did you ever play Pepsi Man as a result?
No, I always wanted to get in like the speedrunning scene, which I think is the funniest thing since it's like a locked time game.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to do it. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Mine was actually Crypto 279 off of Destroy All Humans, and thanks to certain people on the internet, I have had to permanently rebrand.
Yeah, I like this better anyway.
Yeah.
I remember the Crypto days for sure.
So we are about a little over 10 minutes until our first match. So let's kind of talk. Let's take a second and kind of look over the bracket and kind of talk about maybe some of the teams we've got before we kind of run into things. So this is your final warning, competitors. If you are in the stream right now, you need to go away. You need to go away and get prepped for your matches. But our opening rounds start with Bad Swamp Daddy and El Dorado. So I'm gonna pull up their teams real quick. So both of these players have been kind of around my nonsense as far as Pokemon VGC is concerned. I kind of got these two in with me while we were doing Sword and Shield. I started in 2020. I should have prefaced this. I started in 2020 when we were all stuck at home. I was watching another streamer who just happened to be playing competitive Pokemon. And I was like, and I asked in his chat, because he was only like 20, 30 people. And I was like, hey, how do you get into competitive Pokemon? And he sent me like a list. Or like he was talking about a list of resources to go check out. And I was like, hooked. And I was like, okay, this doesn't look as scary as I thought it might be. And that was one of the things that always kept me away, is I always thought I was too dumb for competitive Pokemon.
Especially like EVs and IVs and stuff.
Yeah.
I still don't fully
comprehend. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Communicating with the player.
You bet. Yeah, 2020 was a great time to learn new things, that plenty of people picked up new skills in 2020 that are being very useful today. And
yeah.
I'd say hosting tournaments is a very fun way to use something that you picked up then. Because
it's cool.
It's always going to be,
Yeah, I've enjoyed my time. I climbed a Master Ball tier in like Series 12 of Sword and Shield, and then there was an international challenge where they had, because nobody could do in-person tournaments, so they hosted this online thing where it was like a whole weekend. You played 45 battles the whole weekend, 15 battles a day. And like, I remember playing that tournament in like Series 3 and 4 and just getting blasted by like everything. And then we got to, so then I was like, okay, I gotta like sit down and learn. And then by the time Series 10, 11, when Legendary Pokemon came in, I was like, okay, I was like kind of finally starting to hit my stride with like Dynamax and the mechanics of that. So it's been really cool to come into Scarlet and Violet with that understanding, so I can, start to participate a little bit sooner.
Yeah, I tell you, I had a very similar experience with my first foray into VGC. Because, the first time I went, I didn't even get to participate. I don't remember what year it was. St. Louis was hosting the World Championships.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this will be fun to go to. And I like begged my parents to take me, and eventually we got to go and check it out. There, if you have not qualified for the World Championships, you can still technically qualify. You can like submit like an application thing and present your game, make sure it hasn't been like hacked or anything like that, show off your team, and then there's a large number that get randomly selected to participate then, and I was not one of them. But the second time I went to a regionals in Dallas, and that was basically like everybody gets fed into like a queue, and you go through this line, you walk up to a 2DS setup. This was for Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
Oh, that's so cool.
The first one was Diamond and Pearl. So you walk up to these two DS setups and put in your cartridge and fight. I had to fight somebody who I went to the tournament with, even though they said you weren't supposed to do that.
Oh,
they
man.
had us do it anyway.
Yeah.
Got rolled.
Oh, no.
I still didn't understand anything about all of the meta stuff, and he did. So, like, I wasn't going to win the first round anyway. But regardless, it was still a really fun experience to just go and be around Pokemon fans and stuff and check out all the stuff. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. I was really into watching the World Championships this last year. I guess it was still this year, but this last World Championship, because we hadn't had one in so long. I mean, since 2019, because, worldwide pandemic and all that. Yeah. But it was so cool to see all of the stuff going on in the backgrounds of the live streams and stuff. Just so many people there to play Pokemon. It's really, really neat. So it's been super exciting, and I'm glad to get more people into the hobby. So
Absolutely. Even just as a spectator, it's like it can be really fun to just see what's going on and be like, oh, I know these characters. Wow,
Yeah.
they're doing things I never thought was possible.
yeah. So yeah, so let's actually go ahead. So I was just gonna go through the roster, but I think what I'd like to do is talk about our first matchup today. That's gonna be on the stream, and it's gonna be Kano Shiroi. Kano Shiroi. I'm sure they're gonna come back in the stream and tell me I'm saying it completely wrong.
I was
should have
asked.
asked.
Kanoshiori.
Kanoshiori. That's probably more correct. Kanoshiori. Versus the Nerdy Gnome. So Nerdy Gnome is actually one of somebody I play this game a lot with.
Okay.
Like a ton. And so I'm actually pretty familiar with his team, and it's a very, very cool concept. And then Kano Shiori is doing a water-based team.
Right.
So let's. Oh, go ahead.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's start with Nerdy Gnomes because I think his has got some interesting text here. Yeah, what's up?
I've got a question. So I know a little bit about the current meta of Scarlet and Violet.
Yes.
And I know that it does not involve Quaquavel.
Yeah. So the answer.
So what do you know about this?
Yeah. So the answer to your question here, and again, if there are any competitors in chat, go away, like for real. Yeah. Okay. This is your warning. I will ban you.
I saw Wolfie's video yesterday that showed how they can be used very well, and it's my starter. I think they can be used very well, but I know that a lot of people don't think so.
Yeah. So the secret here actually doesn't has very little to do with Quaquavel, and it has to do with that with the yellow bird in the bottom right. And let me see if I can pull it up here. And so
cheerleader.
Yes. Let's see. Add image. Let me add this one for the people at home. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So talking about this team, so we are talking about the Oricorio in the bottom right. And basically that ability Dancer is what makes this team so special. The Oricorio is more important on this team than just about anything else here. So Dancer basically lets it just use an ally's dancing move. Like if a dancing move gets used, Oricorio will just use it for free. So the big thing here is Feather Dance lowers physical attack by 2 stages. And so if you were to use that onto a physical attacker, Quaquavel, who is really, really fast, will use it first, and then Oricorio will use it. So the only thing is that Oricorio, you don't get to choose the target. So it could select the partner Pokemon on the opposite side, but if you get lucky and you hit the same Pokemon, or even if you're just going up against 2 physical attackers, you could drop one Pokemon's attack stat by 2 or 4. And then it still gets to do its own attack as well. Like it doesn't take up its attack. So that ability just like can get it super powered. So we have the Aqua Step on Quaquavel, which does, I think it's 85 base power, and it raises your speed stat.
Yes.
So Oricorio just gets to basically raise its speed stat for free. And then the other one on there is Lilligant and Volcarona both have Quiver Dance, which raises speed, special attack, and special defense by 1 stage. So the Oricorio is not something that people are going to want to ignore, but it's the one that if you don't know about it, you're going to ignore it because you don't know what it... I mean, it's just a little thing, but it has sweeping potential here.
Absolutely. I'd be scared of some Feather Dance action as well. If I remember right, Feather Dance sharply lowers the attack stat.
Yeah, by 2.
Bringing it down to -2.
Yeah.
So you can get -4 on your attack stat in one move, which can be pretty major.
Yeah, the first time I ever ran into this team on the ladder. I should mention that this is a totally created team of its own mind, but I saw this duo on the ladder once, and I was a King Gambit versus the 2 of them. I got lucky with a critical hit, but by that point it was too late because I had already had my attack stat to minimum in like 2 turns.
Right.
So that's kind of like core number 1. And this team is extremely smartly constructed. With the Psychic Terra on Oricorio, Revelation Dance actually becomes a special psychic attack. It's listed as normal right now, but that's because it uses the type of the attacker. So normally it's electric, I think, and then it becomes psychic once he terras.
Looks like it's a normal type to start.
Yeah, so the attack is listed at normal, but it changes based on the Pokemon that uses it. So in the menu, it's going to show as normal.
So the Terastallization will be what changes it, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then, so that's like core number 1. It's also smartly constructed in that he could just lead Lilligant Torkoal, which is what a lead that's pretty common right now. After you, Eruption is just really, really strong. Basically, after you is just like you get to go next. So it's using Lilligant's speed stat to let Torkoal go first, which is really, really strong. Eruption is one of the strongest moves in the game. At full health, Torkoal puts up Sunny Day, so it gets boosted because of the sun. I mean, it's a whole thing. Clear Smog on it is also very smart for disrupting, stuff like a Dondozo or something else that wants to boost its stats. It's kind of a neat option there. Most Torkoals tend to be choice specs, which lock you into one move, but boost the power dramatically, but that's not what he's going for here. He's actually got the goggles, so he can't be put to sleep due to Spore. Also important to note that if he gets hit with Rage Powder, it also won't affect because of the safety goggles.
That is important to know.
Yeah, that's why the item game is so important in VGC. It's ridiculous. Another important thing is that the Lilligant has Solar Beam. If you're going to pair it with Torkoal, most people assume after you, they might protect in some way or do something a little wacky, and then Solar Beam could just body something that wants to switch into a Torkoal. So, like, if there was an opposing water type, you could send in, and you try to swap it out to save something, then that Solar Beam could be a fun switcheroo to be like, nope, I'm still hitting you with something super effective.
Right.
Also covers for grounded rock types really, really well. Petal Dance as well, Oricorio borrows. So it's a really strong grass attack. And then the Houndstone can be a late game sweeper with Last Respects. I think it's a 50 power base move, but for every Pokemon that faints, it increases in base power by 50. So it can become up to a 200 base power attack at the end of the game, which is absurd, and that's before stab bonuses.
Absolutely. You just got to make sure you are given the space to play to build it up to that point. And so if your opponents know what you're trying to do, that can be shut down. But part of the fun today is that we have people that are super familiar with the meta. We have people that are not super familiar with the meta. And so we're going to see a lot of differing play styles, stuff that surprises us and hopefully creates these situations where they can get these things shut down early.
Let's see.
Pulling up the next roster.
Yeah. I'm telling them our streamed match not to start quite yet.
Oh, I see.
So let's real quick go through this. The water team of Kenoshiroi, and talk about their team. So this
first thing I notice is the variety of terastallizations.
Yes.
Which is going to be very helpful. When you know you're going in against an all-water team, which is, I think, fun. I love setting up themes in my teams. Yeah. You're going to want a way to change off of water.
Yep, for sure. So there's a lot of really cool things here. We'll go through them pretty quick. The Belly Drum Azumarill with huge power is kind of the rage strat right now. So you Belly Drum to put your attack up to +6, and then you play rough Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet always goes first. It's 40 base power. With huge power, it doubles, or your attack stat is doubled. And so it's even at 40 base power, it's a massive attack. Play rough hits fighting and dragon for super effective, so if you run into something like that, you're just gonna annihilate it. Tauros, Paldean Tauros is really, really cool and has been kind of creeping up in meta usage recently. Wave Crash, Close Combat, Zen Headbutt, Wild Charge are all really, really awesome coverage moves. At Anger Point, if it gets hit with a critical attack, its attack goes to +6. Some really heavy hitters here. Toxapex is a defensive kind of Pokemon with Black Sludge to recover HP. So it can really stall you out if you're not careful. Baneful Bunker is a protect, but if you hit it, it poisons the enemy. And Liquidation can lower the defense stats, which is really, really kind of wild.
Yeah. I do like the Black Sludge Recover combo as opposed to going for like the multi-protects if you need to stall out.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. Clodsire is very funny because Quagsire is normally the water type here, but they had the idea of it'd be funny to use that regional variant, and I quite like it. It has Water Absorb, which is really, really neat. So if they get hit in with a water attack, or if they wanted to heal it up, basically, they could target their own Clodsire to heal it up, which is really, really neat. Yawn gets through a lot of the things that protect things from sleep, with the exception of Psychic Terrain. And it also puts your opponent in a hard decision of whether or not they decide to stay in with that Pokemon that turn, or if they're going to continue to attack through it and just take the turns of sleep.
Absolutely.
Hard to go wrong with Earthquake. Haze, good for disrupting setups. So in the matchup we're about to see, that move may come in clutch, depending on if they can get it set up. Stealth Rock is not one we typically see in doubles, but it does break potential focus sashes if they're swapping in and out, and if they're swapping around a lot, that damage does stack up pretty nicely.
Yeah.
Pelipper's the only rain setter we have in the game via ability, so it's kind of hard to run a water-based team without it. But Tailwind doubles the Sweet Stat, which is really nice. Hurricane hits 100% of the time in the rain. It's like 110 base power, which is really, really awesome. Hydro Pump gets just dealt a lot of damage in the rain. And then Klotzer, I'm not going to lie to you, I actually don't know that much about this Pokemon. I haven't seen it a ton, but I know it's got a pretty high attack stat with and it's got Water Pulse, Dragon Pulse, Dark Pulse, Aura Sphere. And I can't remember what Mega Launcher does off the top of my head, but with the Life Orb, it's likely some physical attack sweeper to kind of get us through.
And we can see that it's got the 3 different pulse type moves.
Yeah.
On it. And so with that Life Orb, it's going to be dealing itself quite a bit of damage.
Yeah.
But hopefully it can take care of business before it needs to do that.
Yep. All right. Well, it looks like our competitors are ready. So let me go ahead and pause the music I got going in the background, and let's pop into our match. We're going to start from the perspective of the Nerdy Gnome, and we'll leave it off here, so you can kind of see the other screen smaller for the chat here. But yeah, we're gonna hop into this and take a look at our team we've got here. As they're kind of getting through the rules segment here. Oh wait, I've got them backwards. There we go.
Let's see here. I am having trouble loading the website, so I am a little delayed on the Twitch stream.
Oh, okay.
It's telling me to select an option to join the room.
Huh. We got audio now from the side. All right, so they are currently in the team preview screen, which is. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so they're in the team preview screen right now. It looks like Nerdy Gnome is wanting to consider the lead with the Oricorio and the Quaquaval.
Mm-hmm.
To try to get those boosts up early.
In a team like this where there's one Pokemon that's truly like your main to want to lead with them, or do you often want to like try and hold them back for a turn, at least see what's going on? And
So it depends on the team. I would say that Nerdy Gnome's team right now is a little bit more on the aggressive side, and he wants to put the tempo into his own hands. And so I think what he's trying to consider now is what's gonna give him that edge right from the start, considering the team he's going up against. So he's actually, so you can see he was kind of looking around at Oricorio Lilligant and opted against it. But he's instead going to lead Oricorio Quaquaval, probably assuming the Pelipper is going to come in right away, and you don't want to get blasted with a free Hurricane. Whereas Quaquaval does have the option to Terastallize out of that fighting type weakness, or flying type weakness. All right. And now we actually get to see Kenoshiri's lead in real time with the Clodsire and the Tauros. All right. So here we'll get to see kind of the first little bit, first part of the decision making here is the Oricorio is in a rough spot. Because the Oricorio is electric type, Revelation Dance actually does electric damage, so it can't actually hit the Clodsire.
Right, and it's interesting to start off with Clodsire 2 to not give off to maybe not reveal immediately that you are running that kind of mostly water team.
Mm-hmm.
There is maybe a little bit of questioning at first before you figure out what the rest of their setup is.
Yeah, and something to note about the Quavel, and it's kind of a weird mechanic here, is that the move select screen was showing that Aqua Step was super effective against the Clodsire because it doesn't take its ability into consideration.
Right. I have been hurt many times by that.
Yeah, so good on Nerdy Gnome for recognizing that, or at least probably knowing that that's a thing and going for the safe play with the Feather Dances. And that actually is a lot of damage from Revelation Dance.
Yeah. And that Oricorio ability is just fantastic. Getting to use an extra move every turn. You basically get 3 whole Pokemon in a double battle. It's incredible.
Yeah. So now, the thing is, I don't know if Aqua Step will actually be absorbed even if they don't click into the Clodsire. Because
I'm surely it will. It's still a water type.
I can't remember if it's well, they're clicking into the Tauros, but I can't remember if it works the same as Storm Drain from Gastrodon, where it pulls in all the water attacks. So I guess we're gonna find out here. But it's important to know that the Tauros was faster than the Quavel last turn. So if he reads the Protect right, this will be really, really bad for Kenoshiri. Oh, they're actually gonna swap the Tauros out, which is interesting. So they're actually setting up the rain, and what's kind of wild about this is that it is going to give Quavel an attack boost with Aqua Step here. If it gets to go through like we think it will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it does. So it's only when you target the Pokemon itself. So it's not a ton of damage into Pelipper, but the important thing to note is that even though the Oricorio protected, it's still going to get the Aqua Step. And now it's going to get a speed boost because of it. And this Pelipper has to watch because it's got a quad weakness to the Oricorio right now.
Do you think the hope is to just take out the Quavel quickly so that it doesn't get the boost from the rain?
Probably. I think they just want to get rid of the Quavel because if you see these two Pokemon side by side, the Quavel is the bigger threat to your team.
It's the one providing the moves, the extra moves.
Yeah. If you don't know what the Oricorio is trying to do, though, it's kind of lends itself a little strangely. And so I think Nerdy Gnome's trying to figure out whether or not it's worth just sacrificing the Quavel or not. But he is going to get lucky with the Pelipper Protect, and he's just going to double up into the Clodsire. So really, really nice playing around. But I assume that the Pelipper Protecting to avoid a ×4 electric attack is
right
the way to go. So that, yeah.
How much thought do you put into like when and what to protect?
So my team doesn't actually run Protect.
Oh.
Because I click it too much. And the important thing here is that the Clodsire just clicked Haze, so all of those boosts have gone away, even though the Oricorio is holding the Clear Amulet. So the other thing that's kind of interesting with Best of 3, which is not how the ladder works, is that all of these moves are now being revealed. So once we get into Game 2, you have to put all of these moves that we're figuring out into effect. So now he knows that the Clodsire is going to have Haze when they set this up.
Yeah, Haze can be a game changer with like how we've been talking about how you can bring down up to 4 attack points in one turn or boost yourself up to 6.
Mm-hmm.
Using Haze to just get rid of that, game changer.
Yeah. Especially since we normally see it on Murkrow, who is a prankster. Prankster meaning that it gets higher priority to status moves. But that's truly a unique position to put it on something like Clodsire. So we were able to take out the Pelipper, but Clodsire hits the Yawn. So now Nerdy Gnome has a hard decision to make whether or not he wants to keep Oricorio in or swap it out. A pretty obvious swap. to see kind of what they want to go for. We'll kind of see what he goes for here. Kenoshiri is down a Pokemon, but still kind of has a position advantage here with the Azumarill if they can pull something off without getting hit by Lilligant or the Oricorio.
Important to note that while they are one Pokemon down, they're about to put that Oricorio to sleep if the switch doesn't happen, and so that can put them on a much more even playing field.
Yeah. All right,
and 2 to 5 turns to wake up from sleep, or is it 3 to 5?
2 to 5. Yeah. We're gonna see our first terrestrialization of the tournament with a Fairy Terra from the Azumarill. Probably looking just to start knocking stuff out with that play rough, and also to avoid their lightning weakness. That still does really good damage. I forget how much Pokemon that little bird does.
Oh yeah.
And then we get another petal at the end of the Clodsire. Bring it down a little under half. The Oricorio does go down, so now we are back at an even playing field. And then the Yawn into the Lilligant.
Sorry, yeah, I'm a little delayed. That Fairy-type terrestrialization did absolutely ensure the destruction of the Oricorio. Absolutely incredible.
So now we see Nerdy Gnome with the hard decision of whether or not he wants to bring the Houndstone or the Quaquaval. I would reckon you would probably want to go into the Quaquaval just to try and get some more damage on before bringing in the Houndstone. But he also might feel like the Houndstone just has what it needs to do to secure the victory. But we're going to see what he goes for. He's opting for the Quaquaval. The thing is, if Quaquaval goes down next turn, he then gets a much boosted Last Respects.
Absolutely.
And we kind of got a tough decision here because you want to get rid of that Clodsire because you're kind of tired of it sticking around the field and just yawning everything that you have. And again, it's not been revealed yet that ability is water absorbed. So if he launches an attack into the wrong thing, it's gonna spell trouble. But it looks like he selected correctly. So I don't know if he knows that ability or not because I don't see Clodsire enough. But with those ground types, you can never be too careful, especially with the existence of Gastrodon.
Right, and if I'm Nerdy Gnome in this situation, I'm expecting them to come after Quaquaval.
Yeah.
And so I might want to focus on pulling something that they're not expecting with that knowledge. So it looks like it did not help.
Yeah, unfortunately, Aqua Jet in the rain with huge power does a ton of damage. Let's see how much this Earthquake does. Doesn't do a lot. It actually hits Azumarill for more than it did Lilligant. And then we get the Berry reveal, which is huge as we consider our options for the next game. Important note that the rain has stopped, so Aqua Jet will do a little bit less damage. But we'll see if this Houndstone can pull off the late game sweep, both Lilligant being put to sleep. Important note for us, we know that the Houndstone is Assault Vest, which raises special defense, but it means you can't put on any status moves. So he's kind of at the whims of the Azumarill not KOing. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. It's going to be a close one. He's going to have a lot to think about. Both of them are going to have a lot to think about it before they get into game 2.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing a completely... I'm sure Nerdy Gnome is going to make a completely different selection on the 3 to back up the 1.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see what that is going to be.
Yeah, an unfortunate sleep from the Lilligant, but the Houndstone is actually faster, and it's going to KO that Azumarill in one hit. My guess is we see a Yawn come... Yeah. My guess is we see the Yawn come in from Clodsire, but I don't know that it's going to be a question of whether or not the sleep turns are going to be enough to keep it in the game.
Yeah, if you're a Nerdy Gnome, you're really hoping to pull off that 2-turn wake up.
Mm-hmm.
You're wanting to get back into the action as quickly as possible, secure this first round.
Yeah. So Tauros extremely low on HP, with a Clodsire who's also very low. If you're Nerdy Gnome here, you've got to kind of pick your target carefully. Tauros could walk away with this one. Yeah, I see it on his screen. He's circling around trying to figure out which one he wants.
In this situation, I'd absolutely be going after Tauros personally. Big guy scares me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up. It's either way, you don't know what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a tough call for me. Oh, close combat. 5 HP. If it wakes up this turn, it could do it. Lillian stays asleep. That's really rough. Last respects into Tauros does get the KO.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's going to be a question of what did Clodsire go for? It went for Yon again. That is an unfortunate. I don't know if that was a misclick or just not. They might have been trying to cover for Lilligant waking up to try and keep it asleep.
Yes.
But the unfortunate thing is there's a very good chance Lilligant wakes up this turn and gets a free attack off. While Houndstone hopefully wakes up soon. It's gonna come down to it.
And I don't believe Clodsire has any moves that can hit both of them. So
It does. It has Earthquake.
It does have Earthquake. Okay.
Lilligant woke up. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's not enough to get the KO. Houndstone stays asleep. We're going to see this Earthquake come out, unless it's Yon again. Okay, the Earthquake. Oh, that only did like 25 damage to the Houndstone.
I see, so Houndstone's still above half, right?
Yeah. But the thing is now, with spread moves, the less targets there are, the more damage it actually does, because it disperses the damage across. So this Earthquake will do more damage. But if the Houndstone wakes up...
Is that still the move you go for in this situation?
Earthquake?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's their only attacking move.
Oh, really?
Because I think it's Protect, Yawn, Haze, Earthquake. So that's really their only option here. Now, if the Clodsire could crit, Houndstone could wake up. It's coming down to the wire. Houndstone woke up, and that is going to secure this game. Whew! But
that was close.
Extremely well played. Yeah.
That was quite a roller coaster of a first match. That absolutely went back and forth plenty. Whew. If we had that chess analyzer bar,
yeah,
it would be bouncing.
Yeah. Whew. All right. So now the interesting thing about best of threes, so now there's information that has been revealed on both sides.
Yes.
You know the Clodsire has Haze. You can pretty much... We didn't actually see Clodsire's fourth move in the game, but it's pretty reasonable to assume that it's Protect and that its only attacking move is Earthquake, which you can leverage to your advantage.
I do believe we did, actually. We had the Stealth Rock.
Oh, you're right. Yes, we did at the beginning of the game. So Clodsire's whole moveset is known. And... So that gives Nerdy Gnome some options to consider if the Clodsire is what he's most worried about, which I think that Haze made a significant dent in that opening segments of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Sure. Uh-oh.
And with Haze as well, you've really got to make sure that you haven't done too much setting up of your own yet. It's a move that you want to balance your use of.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got the stat changes you want, and if not, that's when Haze comes out.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very tactical timing type move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is now that Nerdy Gnome knows, he knows Haze is on that team, you've got to be thinking now, okay, so if Clodsire knock out immediately,
Right.
So if I'm Kenoshiroi, I'm thinking to myself, okay, how long can I delay Clodsire? Do I need Clodsire to win this match?
Right. I'd argue you probably want to save it for like the third, but you'll probably need it.
Yeah. Being able to disrupt those boosts is massive.
Right.
If I'm Nerdy Gnome, and kind of the interesting call you can start to make is, does the same lead work again? You know,
Right.
does it work, or do you need to mix something up now that you're in game 2? Or do you conserve in the event there might be a game 3? You know,
Right.
I think if I were
So
him, I would probably stick with it. But you might also consider bringing Torkoal. It seems weird to bring Torkoal into a water-based team, but Sunny Day cuts all water moves in half, and if that gives you some survivability on the Volcarona, potentially, or even the Houndstone. But it's a little bit riskier, and he might be willing to take a risk here with a game 1 win, even though it was pretty close. So, well, we'll kind of see what he goes for.
right. Personally, I'd be considering pulling out Lilligant, trying to boost up both of our moves with Quiver Dance, and then trying to focus our good friend, whose name I'm forgetting, Cloudsire.
Oh yeah, yeah. So well, let's see. We're about to hop into the match and see what they go for. I'm really anxious. I've not actually done very many best of 3s. I've done some casual best of 3s, and that's about it. But you know, we're talking a tournament now. You know, the pressure's on. So we see the Lilligant Torkoal lead.
Look at that.
Toxapex and Clodsire on the opposite side. Now, the thing that's interesting about about Kanoshiroi's lead is that this is a pretty passive lead, generally speaking. Toxapex is not really known for its strength. It has it. I mean, it wouldn't be on the team if it didn't have it. But now you are facing down something that's sitting in the rain, or in the sun, so your water attacks are lowered. And Lilligant, and we know that Lilligant has Focus Sash. That was not revealed this last game, so we'll have to see what they end up going for here.
Correct. Are you trying to get off some poisons as quickly as possible with Toxapex, do you think?
Probably. I mean, we know that the Lilligant is a problem,
Yes.
and so you're going to want to get rid of that as soon as possible. Because if you bring in Pelipper, you can disrupt the sun here. But we are going to see the Solar Beam reveal, and we get to see how much this does. And the Clodsire, who kind of takes that like a champ, honestly. About 70 damage. For our viewers at home, I apologize. The stream quality is kind of dipping a little bit. I'm sure it'll sort itself out here soon. So we know that a stab Solar Beam only did about 70 damage, not even a third of the...
Very good point.
Yeah. So we know that it's going to take a while to knock this thing out. Probably EV trained into special defense to be able to take those attacks, but very well trained up.
And honestly, that can make the difference. You know, that gives you just a couple more yawns, just trying to stay alive and just kind of be support in that way.
Yeah.
That absolutely, if you make yourself the target, you're going to want to make sure you can stand for a bit, play that tank.
Yeah. Nerdy Gnome, recognizing that this is going to be a little bit tougher of a fight and wants to remove Torkoal from the situation. And probably, honestly, probably set something up here with the Lilligant. Yep, so we see a Quiver Dance up. And then the Oricorio is going to get that boost on the way in. If the Clodsire is going for Earthquake, the beautiful thing is that because Oricorio is a flying type, it will not take any damage from it. Despite also being electric type. Poison Jab is going to finish off the Lilligant.
Which is great. You know, Lilligant was able to get off that dance first to help the Oricorio out, boost most of its thing. I think 5 of its stats by 1, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Torkoal coming back out. Yeah, and I will say this is an interesting position for the Torkoal, because you're staring down something that knows Liquidation as a water type. You're also staring down something that knows Earthquake. And so we are fortunate enough to have Kanoshiroi's perspective, and she's going to bring Clodsire out to bring the Pelipper in to set up the rain, to try and win this weather war. It's funny coming off of Sword and Shield, where we were using super powerful legendaries, and the way we saw this battle go out was through Kyogre and Groudon. and now it's Pelipper and Torkoal. All right, so we are revealing the terrestrialization on the Oricorio to be Psychic type, which is going to hit Toxapex for super effective with Revelation Dance. But we also get the reveal of the Baneful Bunker, which is basically working like Protect. Oh, that's right, he wasn't going into that. Oh, he's not going into that slot. Oh, we didn't know that. And, oh, that almost brings the Pelipper all the way down. Eruption... We're going to see if this is enough to finish the job. It is at full HP, but it's going to be resisted and in the rain. And it's not enough! Down to 2 HP, and the Oricorio is going to start to take sleep turns. Wow. That's wild.
It's rough. It's close. And that's, you know, it does, like... You were just hoping for that few more percentage to get the crit or something.
Yeah, a higher roll. There's like a 5%
absolutely.
difference.
Something a little bit more to get yourself out of that situation.
Yeah.
And that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah. The Hydro Pump hit into Torkoal is going to be enough to KO. That's a 70% accurate attack. Very fortunate that attack succeeded. And Liquidation now in the rain to Oricorio. Going to bring it not quite down all the way, but bring it down a good amount. So we've got the Houndstone on the back. Now, an important thing to know that Pelipper is a special attacker. We know that the Houndstone has Assault Vest, and he's down to his last 2, which means, Last Respects could pull the reverse sweep if he gets lucky with the Oricorio sleep turn this turn.
Yes.
Basically, the hope is going to be that Oricorio wakes up, gets Revelation Dance on Toxapex, knocks it out, brings in Pelipper, and then Houndstone sweeps the rest of the game. If you're Kenoshi Roy, think about your potential options here. The Protect on the Pelipper, we'll see if that's enough to kind of win this. The Shadow Sneak to try and get into the Pelipper, a priority attack, is going to go straight into this Protect. We have to hope Oricorio wakes up, and it stays asleep, which is unfortunate for this turn. The Poison Jab, not enough to KO. That special defense investment making the difference. That Quiver Dance saving them. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, important to note that, like you said, Houndstone can potentially sweep this thing by itself.
Yeah.
And so, the Oricorio staying asleep, bad, not the end of the world.
Yeah.
The fact that they're focusing some moves on Oricorio is,
the other thing to kind of know here is that Houndstone revealed the Shadow Sneak with Pelipper not able to protect this turn. It's going to go down before it can quite set up Tailwind like they were hoping. Oricorio woke up, but I don't know if this brings in a poison. Oricorio is still going to go down. Oh, nope. Okay, I am wrong on how this attack works. I'm now going to Cerebi to look up Baneful Bunker. And poison, and he tries to use a contact move. It must not be a contact move. Oops. Okay, I'm getting some scores coming in from other games. We'll talk about those at the end of this one.
Great.
But we have this. These are some good matches. And we see the terrestrialization coming in. Who's it gonna be? It's on the Clodser, which is straight water type. This is the first time we've seen this. That's a good reveal if this does go to a game 3. And let's see what they do. Oricorio protects. Look, oh, Last Respects comes in. Is it going to be enough to KO? I'm lagging a little bit. No! Clodser's going to get off the Terra boosted Water Pulse. And it's going to KO Houndstone. I think that very well seals up this game.
Yeah, taking out that Houndstone is huge. Absolutely huge.
So as we're kind of wrapping this one up and going into game 3, okay, we have a lot of information being revealed here. The Oricorio being Psychic Terra. We've now finally seen the Clodser, at least a little bit. We know it's Water Terra, now we kind of know some of the moves that Kenoshi is willing to make. I mean, clicking Hydro Pump when you had a 100% accurate Hurricane waiting for you, those kinds of things. So knowing that type of information can really help guide a game 3.
Absolutely. We've had quite a bit revealed in this game. The first game was relatively reserved in terms of what was revealed in moves and terrestrialization, but I think Kenoshi Roy has revealed more of their team too. I believe Toxapex wasn't in that first match, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Yeah. And nor was Klotzer, so I think at this point we've seen the whole team. Whereas Nerdy Gnome has 2 Pokemon that have yet to be showcased.
Yeah. Do you think we see them?
It's hard to bring Volcarona into this matchup. I don't know that it necessarily leads the Oricorio to victory. So I don't know. It's tough to say. If I were Nerdy Gnome, I probably wouldn't bring Torkoal. I think he's kind of realized that no matter how much he wants to, he just has too much going against him there. I would imagine something like the Quaquaval Oricorio lead, or even the Lilligant Oricorio lead, and just start boosting up as much as they can.
Absolutely. And honestly, if needed, just bring out the Quaquaval just to kind of... I mean, it's probably not going to get focused by any of the water type moves, but to have a water type out there is still going to be very effective.
Yeah.
In trying to play a little bit of defense.
And now the one of the unfortunate things for Nerdy Gnome is that they didn't get the information that Pelipper was clicking Tailwind that last turn, so it's still unknown to him whether or not Tailwind is on that team. And speed is so important in a game like Pokemon. That's why we have so many.
Tailwind is one of those moves you see constantly.
Yeah.
Trying to get the speed advantage.
Yeah. Yep. And so, yeah, I mean, really, these are the kind of games we were hoping to see. Very, very close matches, very interesting plays going back and forth. We're going to see who kind of cinches this one up.
Yeah.
And regardless, loser's bracket is going to have to watch out for whichever team goes up in here.
Yes.
So
it was incredible. Absolutely incredible from both teams. Like, we went to a game 3. Like,
yeah,
of course.
Yes, I will say.
Very effective.
Yeah, I will say the other 2 matches that have gone on so far have gone 2-0, and so this is the first best of 3 of the entire tournament. So, and we'll go over those scores after this match. I really like Nerdy Gnome, so we have his perspective back up for the stream, and I really like how deliberate and careful he's being with his team preview. He's using almost the entire time to try and find the best possible lead here. And honestly, I think that Clodsire is such a barrier that he knows he has to get against. All right. Leading with the Pelipper Azumarill.
See a bit more focus on the Clodsire that game. I think we're going to see even more now.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so. So we have a Azumarill here, which is really interesting. We can... when you see a Azumarill, you can kind of guess what its moveset is. We haven't actually seen the belly drum yet, though. Azumarill has not had a ton of time in the spotlight here.
Nope. Just a quick pop in, pop out, see what's at the dinner table, and then get out of there.
Yeah. So we see Nerdy Gnome really trying to think about who he wants the Petal Dance to go into. And he's opting for the Revelation Dance going into the Pelipper here. Oh, and that brings it down to Focus Sash?
Wow.
That's the first we've seen of that.
That's gotta hurt.
There's the Quiver Dance. My guess is he probably knew. Pelipper is very frail. Use it to set up the rain. So I'm sure he's not pleased to see that Pelipper survived, but I have a feeling he was probably aware that Pelipper would survive that attack. But the worst thing it can go for is Tailwind. Ooh, but he clicks the Hurricane, which is going to do a ton of damage. It actually doesn't even bring it to half. But the confusion is a rough thing to have to contend with.
Yeah.
And there's the belly drum. Ooh, man. So now the question is, who is that +6 Aqua Jet going into? And it will be enough to KO either of them. They both have resistances to water. Actually, the Oricorio is neutral. So they got to be very, very careful here.
They do move first, don't they?
Aquajet is a priority move.
Oh,
So,
yes, yep, priority
yep.
move, correct.
So it's either that or the player if they go for play rough. Pelipper swaps. That's an interesting one. I'm guessing it's the Clodsire. Yeah, hoping to bait out that electric attack coming in. Aquajet does get the KO and Oricorio.
Which is the important one to KO. That's kind of your biggest playmaker. Getting that Revelation Dance off twice immediately for your team. You want to pay back for that.
And the confusion hit is really, really bad. This puts Nerdy Gnome in a really tough spot. Confusion and status effects are always something we have to contend with, but confusion is one that feels super bad.
Not only losing a turn, but it's such a low percentage as it is to lose that turn, and then you deal extra damage to yourself as an extra little punch.
Yeah, especially when he really needed to hit that pedal dance into the Azumarill, because now it gets another +6 Aquajet off into, it's fair game, or, free to be whoever. We're seeing Nerdy Gnome really think about his moveset here.
At this point, this is where you're thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead too. It's like, okay, if I do this, when are they gonna switch out another Pokemon? Are they gonna switch out another Pokemon? Do I need to plan around that?
Yeah.
You have a million things running through your head trying to get off this third game at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So we see the terrestrialization of the Quaffle, which we've seen before, looking to get a really big attack here in hopes. But a little again confused. Can it hit through the confusion, please? Okay. Whew, not 2 in a row.
That's good. That's good.
All right. Clodsire gets down to a little over half the Aqua Step, and we finally see the reveal of the Water Absorb, which is going to actually heal it instead of attacking, and the Play Rough is going to KO Quaffle even without the super effective bonus. Really, really well played by Kenoshiroi here.
I realized you didn't know the percentage, but looked it up. 33% chance to hit yourself.
Really? That seems higher than I think it should be. So, a third. So every 3 turns, expect to hit yourself at least once.
Yeah.
All right. At this point, it's going to come down to the Houndstone. Now, the important thing about the Houndstone is we know that this has to be max speed. We have seen it outspeed pretty much everything on Kenoshiroi's team. And as we've said before, if it's not dealt with, it could spell the end. But the Azumarill has to be careful here. We don't know if an Aquajet will KO here. We can kind of assume it will. But we also know that the Lilligant is generally faster too. So we'll see what they decide to Aquajet, if they do. Yeah, and that's going to secure the KO. Dang. The power of Aquajet, huge power, Azumarill in the rain. Lilligant does finally snap out, but I think it's unfortunately too little too late for this match.
Absolutely. Aquajet, already a powerful move, but being able to get off that rain, getting to make it more powerful. Yeah, getting to attack first is just not much you can do about it.
Yeah, it's, securing that priority. Yep.
Because a lot of those priority type moves don't do a lot. You don't get a huge payoff for trying to go first, Yeah. Aquajet's one of those outliers.
Yeah, 40 base power. It's the same as Shadow Sneak, but when you put it on a Pokemon like Azumarill, with a massive attack stat, you add in huge power as its ability. In the rain, it gets boosted. There's not a lot that can really handle it at neutral. And unfortunately, there just wasn't a good answer necessarily. And again, that turn 1, I think what got Nerdy Gnome stuck in a bind was that turn 1 confusion self-infliction.
Absolutely. That is just difficult to deal with confusion.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said before we got started, there's so much random factor in this.
Yeah.
And it's just another component.
Okay.
You can manipulate the randomness, but it's still going to be there.
Right. All right, let me look at our bracket here and start to get things kind of moving. So, okay, let me talk to our competitors here.
While you send that, I will review the bracket with everyone.
Great.
All right, so it looks like we also had Bad Swap Daddy versus El Dorada. El Dorada took that 2-0. We had Ganman versus Dirty Kaz. Ganman took that 2-0. And so now we're going to be having El Dorado versus Gamman and Happy by 3 versus Kenoshi Roy.
Hmm. And then down in the and then I don't know if you said it yet, but then down in the losers bracket we will have Dirty Kaz versus Nerdy Gnome.
I did not look at the losers bracket. Good call.
I think we'll try to hop into. It looks like we're gonna have a match we've seen, or at least one team we've seen, but we'll kind of give them a chance to kind of get settled and get another match. Also, one of our players, Happy by 3, just... Oh, wait, let's... Oop. There we go. Put ourselves back at the caster table. Yeah, so we had... Happy by 3 had a speedrun tournament, or a speedrun of charity event thing going on today. And so now they're going straight from that into this tournament. So hopefully they are ready to go. But we might have to stall.
All hyped up on charity and ready to pull off some amazing moves.
Yeah.
That's what I'm expecting.
Let's see. Oh wait, did I do it dumb?
Did you?
No. It's always the question.
As you say, we're gonna be seeing Happy by 3 versus Kenoshi Roy, or are we seeing Dirty Kaz versus Nerdy Gnome?
I'm looking.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Seeing who is available. I'm kind of checking to see if Happy by 3 is ready. Again, coming from a charity event into this, I'm hoping that they're on ready to go. Let's see. So Bad Swamp Daddy actually gets a bye this round in losers bracket. Actually bump them up. So yeah, let's actually let me ask. Oops, almost did the Nerdy Gnome twice. I think we'll probably grab Nerdy Gnome and Dirty Kaz, get the losers bracket game in there. I've been given the thumbs up. And then Happy by 3 is getting started. Everyone else, go ahead and run your matches. Best of luck. Oops. Yeah. There we go. All right. Awesome.
So if we are checking out the losers bracket game, Dirty Kaz versus Nerdy Gnome, I'm gonna get their teams.
Yeah.
So we're familiar with Nerdy Gnome's team already.
Yes.
Of the beautiful Ori dance combos, and then getting Houndstone out there to try and help finish it off.
Yeah.
Dirty Kaz.
Yeah.
Something we haven't checked out yet. I'm looking at this list. I'm seeing Annihilate. I have been seeing quite a bit of. He seems like a strong monkey boy.
Yeah, yeah.
Skeleturge. Skeleturge is somebody who can start snowballing very quickly.
Yes.
If you let too many torch songs go off, it's not going to end well. So Skeleturge is somebody you're wanting to take care of before that happens.
Right.
I'll tell you, even taking the water starter in the game, dealing with Torch Song with your rival still proved to be a difficult challenge for me. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I will also mention. So I don't know necessarily. So Dirty Kaz is one who is new to this whole thing. Kind of checking out VGC for the first time. So it's really cool to kind of see the team they've built. They actually told me that this was like their playthrough team. that
Gotcha.
they kind of spruced up for this. So it's really, really cool. I'm a big fan of Dragapult. We've seen Dragapult in Sword and Shield a good amount. We've seen Toxtricity. It's kind of cool to see Toxtricity actually have like kind of a place this generation where it really didn't in Generation 8. Always happy seeing the Sylveon. And Annihilate, again, as you've said, has been kind of an early meta pick for sure, as we've gotten started here.
And getting that muscle band to boost up probably close combat is going to be huge.
Yeah. Am I looking at the... Oh, no, okay, we're looking at the right game. I have 3 matches in my program. I don't know whose are who. I have the one that we have. I don't know what the other ones are.
I see.
Oh, okay. It's Happy by 3 and Kenoshiroi's game 2. Okay. If we need to, we can swap between them. But we're here to watch Dirty Kaz and Nerdy Gnome start this thing off. Let's see. There we go. There's the music. All right, there we go. So we're starting with Sylveon Toxtricity into Volcarona or Choreo. That's a very like hyper offensive lead from the side of Dirty Kaz, and I quite like it. It's kind of funny, like none of these attacks from either side really hit each other for super effective. So it's an interesting spot to be in when this happens. But we're going to see the Terror right away. Likely from the Oricorio to Revelation Dance into the Toxtricity for super effective, thanks to that poison typing on that side.
Yeah, this is, like as we talked earlier, timing on terrestrialization is huge. We're seeing one very early. We're going to see how that plays out. The other ones have been relatively late. The interesting thing to note here is we are finally seeing the Volcarona from the side of Nerdy Gnome, who is notably faster this go around. And so we actually see the Quiver Dance right away to boost that special attack to +2. So it's going to be a +2 Revelation Dance going into Toxtricity. Yeah, and there's the knockout. And I don't remember Dirty Kaz's team well enough to know if there's any way to really kind of stop this from popping off like this. I don't know if there's any haze or anything like that. Let's take a look. There's no haze. I am seeing not a lot of protection. There's a lot of offense.
Yeah.
And so you may be trying to use some of those offensive moves to scare them into switching out, maybe resetting some of this, or just take him out and get him gone. But I think Nerdy Gnome's going to be confident enough that he's not going to switch him out. Because he knows that's going to reset his abilities. Right.
And we're just going to get to see another Quiver Dance here, which is going to put both Pokemon, or not both Pokemon, we're going to put the Volcarona up to +2 in each category and the Oricorio up to +4. Which is really, really impressive. That's the thing about the Team Nerdy Gnomes got is once it starts to pop off, it starts to outspeed you, and you can't really counteract it like that. Unfortunately, Annihilate doesn't get access to Sucker Punch, because I've looked numerous times because I keep thinking it should.
That is surprising that it doesn't.
Yeah. Grimmsnarl gets Sucker Punch, but Annihilate doesn't. The Shadow Ball here is going to do some big damage, and it's actually going to get the knockout. A critical hit. Now, the thing about critical hits that are important to understand is those go through defensive boosts. It ignores them. So even though he was at +4 special defense, that's just going to straight up knock out.
And I believe it also keeps any attack boosts you've given yourself, correct?
Yes. Yes. I had to think about that one. Yep. And then here comes Skeledirge. And an unfortunate positioning here for Dirty Kaz with the Quavel in the back. Volcarona itself is at +2. And you can get a super effective Aqua Step off into that Skeledirge.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, want to take out that Skeledirge before it gets to ramping up. And so Quavel, we've got the starter versus the starter.
Yeah.
Let's see if Nerdy Gnome can do what I couldn't against my rival.
No, unfortunately, that is going to be a knockout. The Skeledirge, the important thing to note too is that this Skeledirge's ability is Blaze instead of its hidden ability of Unaware. Unaware is an ability that basically just it ignores boosts entirely from the opposing side, so it just ignores your attack boosts and stuff. But unfortunately, due to Blaze, it is just gonna knock out. But there is the knockout onto the Quaquaval with Moonblast. But unfortunately, I think the lead is a little too far for Dirty Kaz here. But
and now you get the Houndstone out. And
yeah,
it's powered up by 2.
Yep.
So it's not.
But really well played. I think Dirty Kaz probably is going to notice that the Sylveon is kind of a heavy hitter here.
Yes.
I would imagine probably leads with it into game 2.
And do you think Dirty Kaz is going to keep bringing out that Skeledirge, or do you think they're going to switch off to something?
I don't know. I would almost, if I were Dirty Kaz, I would imagine maybe something like the Dragapult would be a pretty good lead in here. Being psychic or not psychic, Dragon Ghost, you actually resist the Oricorio Quaquaval in pretty much every way. You got Dragon Darts, Dragon Dash, even Astonish to get an early lead to kind of stop something from setting up a little too early. So he's got options with the Dragapult. Early Annihilate into a close combat is always a solid option. Yeah, tough to say.
There's plenty of options.
Yeah, the Sylveon does have Quick Claw, which we didn't see proc, unfortunately. But if it ever did proc, that could spell some disaster if it goes off into the right thing. So,
Absolutely.
and again, we're seeing a team that is, when you play through your story, it doesn't quite have the same synergy as something like the Nerdy Gnomes team. So full credit to Dirty Kaz for getting 2 knockouts and being in a pretty decent spot with this team for round 2, potentially.
Yeah. For putting together a competitive team, you've really got to take the time to go search for some of these things. And so playing along the routes, you're not always going to find the current meta. But, sometimes going off meta can be what causes the biggest surprises, causes some of the biggest upsets.
Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping that I see the Sylveon Dragapult lead here with that Astonish to kind of cause some disruption on turn 1, and then into like either a really powerful Dazzling Gleam or a Moonblast.
Absolutely.
But we also have Nerdy Gnome here who could make some sort of adjustment that he might not be super comfortable with normally to kind of see how it works. We kind of saw something in game 2 of the last round. Now we'll kind of see if they opt for, something a little more risky.
Let's see if we get another early terrestrialization as well, because that definitely changed the flow of the game.
Yeah, I agree. All right, here we go. Electricity Sylveon. So we're seeing the same lead as last time, but we do see the Torkoal Lilligant in turn 1 this turn. Kind of interesting.
Which I believe is what we saw the second game last time as well, if I recall correctly.
Yes. The thing with this game, though, is there is no Rain Setter to disrupt, but we do see the Quick Claw activation.
Aha. Very, very needed for Sylveon to get that, especially turn 1. Set the tone for the battle. Say, this is going to go my way.
Yeah.
Get off it.
Terrafire, Torkoal from the Nerdy Gnome, just a superpower eruption. But with the Quick Claw, let's see, it's Dazzling Gleam. If we get a special, no special attack drop here. And we see the Lilligant after U-Strike. It will lower the damage output a little bit. And we know that the Torkoal is not Specs. Sylveon survives, but the Toxicity does go down. Yeah, Toxicity is unfortunately one of those Pokemon that you think would be a little bit bulkier than it is, but it really does not like getting hit pretty much at all. With Skeledirge here, and Skeledirge should take an eruption relatively well. Now it's going to be kind of the hope, can Sylveon proc a Quick Claw a second time? Because there's no way it survives if it doesn't get to go first.
Absolutely.
We're actually seeing the Torkoal switch, which is interesting.
Yeah, get one terrestrialization move out and then switch out.
Yeah.
Nerdy must be confident that
Yeah.
whatever is with the two is going to
Well,
handle this a lot better.
yeah. And the important thing to note, too, is that terrestrialization doesn't go away when you swap out.
Oh, does it?
No, it stays until it's knocked out, similar to Mega Evolutions.
I have, honestly, now that you mention it, I have never switched out a terrestrialized Pokemon, so I'm now learning.
Yeah. That one is courtesy of Aaron Zhang that I know that one. And there's the Solar Beam into the Sylveon.
That's gotta hurt, I mean, it's already tough to fit inside of a Pokeball. There's all that extra crystals to get in there now.
Yeah, right? With the really uncomfortable hat. And we do see the Torch Song go into Lilligant. That is going to proc this special attack boost. And that's going to be a free boost because of the swap out from to the Volcarona.
Yeah, and that absolutely can start the snowball that I've talked about. So if you're Nerdy Gnome, you're wanting to take that thing out soon.
Yeah.
Because it's just gone up 2 points.
Yeah. So we see the Oricorio come out, and the thing about the Oricorio right now is it doesn't have any boosts as it comes in here. So if they're really going to hope for something, they might opt for the Protect again. They might opt for Revelation Dance. There's a lot of different things that they can go to.
Yeah.
But let's see.
Maybe I shouldn't be calling it Snowball when it's a fire type. It is a better...
Just like it's Fireball, but you're expending an extra spell slot each turn.
Yeah, there you go.
Alright, so we see Nerdy Gnome here actually picking his moves very carefully. Something that I actually really respect from Nerdy Gnome is his ability to not just immediately click the first thing that he wants to click.
He takes, that's something I've noticed as well. For Pokemon selection, through move selection, he takes his time figuring out. That's part of what we were talking about last game with thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead. Thinking like, all right, what's going to happen if I do this?
Yeah.
You got to think that through.
Yeah. And especially like when you do have a lead, like the last thing you want to do is throw a lead because you click something dumb.
You don't want to get too confident.
Yeah. I have lost more games just willy-nilly clicking things.
I get cocky in Overwatch and then lose it for the team, and I back out immediately to not deal with the shame.
Yeah. So now we're coming in with Torkoal Volcarona. Now the important thing to know is if the Skeledirge has Protect, it can actually protect this turn. It could stall out the Sun, and then maybe pull something back, but it's a very difficult out from here on through.
We've got 2 sets of candles facing off here.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what they're going for. Volcarona goes for the Bug Buzz, which is almost enough to KO. We see the Skeledirge come in with Torch Song into... Let's see, Volcarona. And that's going to get the knockout. Unfortunately, the Skeledirge being as low of HP as it is, I think this is no matter whatever.
Yeah, with the fire terrestrialization making it canceling out any boost. Yeah.
Now, Sandstorm is an interesting tech here that we haven't really seen yet from the Torkoal, and I really like it because it's to enable the Houndstone in the back with a Sand Rush. But that is going to be that match with Nerdy Gnome taking the loser's bracket 2-0. That does unfortunately knock Dirty Kaz out of the tournament, but well fought indeed. Was a really good match, really fun to watch, and as always in these kinds of things, you learn something anytime you do these. So well fought, Dirty Kaz, and we hope to see you at the next one for sure.
Yeah, there are parts of that team that are going to be very effective moving forward.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's head back to the caster table for a bit. We can chat while we get kind of things, get things moving. Let's see. So, yeah, so we have a couple other matches that are still rolling along. Let's see. And then So we have Bad Swamp Daddy in the losers bracket, and we have Nerdy Gnome climbing up in the losers bracket. Whose game is playing music? It's that one. Okay, it's fine. It's gonna turn down. It's really loud all of a sudden. So we have Eldorada still currently battling off against Ganman. No update there. Happy by 3 and Kenoshiroi had a game, finished their game 1. I don't know who won. They just said GG in our chat, so I have no idea if that was a, who that goes to. So they're doing their second match. But Bad Swamp Daddy, whose team we haven't talked about yet, will play in between. Oh my gosh, what's going on with my stuff? We'll play the winner. Or sorry, Bad Swamp Daddy will play the loser between Eldorada and Ganman. And then Nerdy Gnome will play the loser between Happy by 3 and Kenoshiroi. So they might be doing a hefty rematch.
Yeah, the winner of both of those matches goes on to the semifinals for the winners bracket, deciding who takes the spot of fighting winners versus losers in the finale.
Yeah.
So what are you expecting to see here? Are you hoping to see another rematch, or are we hoping to get out Happy by 3's team and get to see what's going on there?
Man, I would like to see kind of what's going on with Happy by 3. I know that they're one that has not done this before and was super stoked. And I'm really impressed with their team. Kind of a mix of some Metamons and some other kind of a mix of some meta and non. And then, of course, we've now seen Nerdy Gnome's team twice. I'm not going to make it be on the stream twice, but so it looks like I'm seeing GDs from Happy by 3 and Kenoshiroi. I'm not quite sure. I still have no confirmation as to who won.
Right. Are they going to game 3? Is it going to be a tight match? Let's find out.
Someone DM me results, please. Smile.
That's the thing, is in this moment, it feels like an eternity's passing, even though it's just been a few seconds.
Oh, like, there we go. I'm seeing results come in. So Happy by 3 was the victor.
Okay, so we're going to be seeing Happy by 3 versus Nerdy Gnome.
So Happy by 3 there. So that puts... you know what? Let's see. Yeah, okay.
I'm actually realizing I don't have Happy by 3's team on my end. I don't know if you have.
Oh no, that was a later one. I don't actually have his
Gotcha.
Their team right now either. Okay. Bracket. Losers bracket match is Nerdy Gnome versus Kenoshiroi. We probably will not stream that match. We will probably grab whatever match is going on, either the Bad Swamp Daddy match or the one that'll go on in the winners bracket. But man, going up against the person who put you in the losers bracket can be certainly a little rough.
Yes.
But I mean, there's also the thing of like we're super prepared. They know each other's team now super well. With there's a couple surprises that could be left, but those kinds of things.
So yeah, I do think I misspoke earlier. I said we'd be seeing Happy by 3 against Nerdy Gnome. I did be Kenoshiroi against Nerdy Gnome. Teams they're both very intimately familiar with. They saw a variety of strategies come out, and so it'll be nerve-wracking for both of them, but I think they both will probably be going in with a plan on how to try and counter their biggest plays.
Yeah. Oops. Okay. So we're still waiting on the match between Eldorada and Ganman to kind of decide who is playing Happy by 3 and who will be playing Bad Swamp Daddy. So at this time, chat, by the way, first off, thank you guys for hanging out. This has been super, super fun. And I hope you're enjoying the matches that we get to watch today for the first ever VGC Goat Cup. So thank you guys.
Very exciting to see some competitive stuff this early in the game. It's great. It's great that everybody gets the chance to practice this and see what's gonna set the tone for the next like year and a half or so.
Yeah, right. And that's kind of the cool thing too, is that like, right now is like prime time for all the wacky nonsense. While we even like official tournaments have not happened yet. We won't see our first one until January, the weekend of January 5 through 7, I think it is. So we still have about a month still until the first regional event in San Diego. And also, like, they are doing open team sheets, which is something that we are not doing, because there's just too much to keep track of. And those regionals have a lot of like scouting, so they're just like, screw it, open team sheets. So that, which is going to be interesting, and it's going to change the game quite a bit. Yeah, so I'll be pretty excited to see kind of what the pros decide to bring out. There's a lot of them that, make content, but then don't, their content teams and their tournament teams are always different usually.
Yeah, trying to keep your strategies a secret before you go in. It's really hard thing to balance because Pokemon is one of those games where the most successful people are the most successful like tournament people.
Uh-huh.
And so you've got to keep those strategies a secret because in other games, you can kind of be successful and people can know what you do, but here, not knowing is half the battle.
Right, exactly. So it looks like Ganman was the victor of that match. So we have Bad Swamp Daddy again playing Eldorada, which is how they started this tournament. So I wish the bracket would let me kind of mix some things up, but I really don't get to take manual control of the bracket. But now we have Ganman versus Happy by 3, which will be the game that we watch.
Cool. This will be the winners bracket semifinals.
Yeah. Okay.
I am seeing one of these regionals is going to be an hour and a half from me, so I might need to pop over and check it out.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one I was gonna look at, but because of my work, I actually can't go because they put. So I'm a school teacher,
Right.
And they put homecoming that same weekend. I was like, oh, it's like the
Wow.
one game I can't like just get out of.
The one I'm looking at is June 2 through 4 in
Yeah.
Wisconsin. Wisconsin's not a terrible drive.
Yeah, I think that was one I was looking
It's
at
not
since
great,
it's in the summer.
yeah.
Let's see.
Ooh, that's a great question from Violet Kitty too. Do we have a cup in the shape of a goat?
I wish I did. I wish I did.
If I was a bit more confident in my 3D modeling skills, I would absolutely rock one of those up. Who knows? I might give it a shot anyway.
That would be fun at some point. I do. This is the inaugural, so we're just making sure that everything works without breaking. Oh wait, I think I might have the stream. But now that it's we know that we can do this without things being a mess. We can kind of go bigger and better for the next one.
Absolutely.
All right.
That's the great thing with these events, especially these events that happen in series, is that you learn so quickly what works and what doesn't, and build the quality for the next one.
Yeah. All right. So we can go ahead and look at our team lists for our streamed match. Except for I don't have Happy by 3s, but we can talk about Ganman's team. Actually, I've got that other team in DMs. Let me pull that one up. Okay, so we've got a kind of interesting team here. If this is still the same one, it's Tinkaton, which will be our first Tinkaton we see from the side of Happy by 3.
Tinkaton is my favorite Pokemon in the new
Yeah.
thing. Such a heavy hit.
Yeah, it's a fan favorite for sure. With Choice Band and Mold Breaker. And the important thing to know is that it has Gigaton Hammer, because of course it does. It's its best attack. But it also is running Play Rough, Knock Off, and Terra Blast with Terra Steel. One of the things to note about Tinkaton is that it's strong. Gigaton Hammer is strong, but its base attack stat is not that high compared to most of the other things we go up against. And the decision to put on Choice Band, if this is still what they have, Choice Band locks you into a move.
Okay, I'm seeing Own Tempo and Citrus Berry on.
I don't know. This is Happy by 3. Sorry.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. But the thing about Choice Band is that it can put you in a rough spot. I actually don't know what the interaction is if you use Gigaton Hammer with Choice Band. What happens turn 2? I don't know if you struggle or you just have to sit there. I don't actually know. Hydreigon, which is a big meta Pokemon right now with Levitate, Terra-type Steel, as the primary Tailwind user. It's also just extremely strong. Armor Rouge with safety goggles. Oh, go ahead.
I'm reading Choice Band. It says it only allows the use of one move. It doesn't say it forces you to use it over and over. So I imagine it will just fail.
Gotcha. Well, Gigaton Hammer doesn't let you select it again.
Oh.
Which is interesting. So I don't know what it locks you into. We may find out. Who knows? This Armor Rouge has Wide Guard, which is basically protect for spread attacks. It protects both sides from spread attacks.
Just confirmed it will struggle.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see that interaction.
Yeah.
It also notably has Destiny Bond, which is that if you use it and then you get taken out, then that Pokemon that took it out faints, just straight up. Golden Go, which is not a Pokemon we've seen a whole lot of today.
No, Golden Go, another popular one in the meta, which I'm like, I love him. He's so cool, and then he's also strong. So
extremely strong. With Focus Sash and its typical set, Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, Nasty Plot. Kilowattrel, another Tailwind user with the Wind Power ability, which is really, really neat to see, to have 2 Tailwind options. And then Gardevoir with Bobiri Berry, Telepathy, and Trick Room to either negate opposing Trick Rooms or, if outsped, putting your own Trick Room on. So there might be some other changes there from what we have, but that's what I have been given up to this point.
I'm expecting Make It Rain to be quite a game changer here, because that will attack both opponents. And it's a base 120 power. Based on what you told me out earlier, that's 60 power to each. That's a pretty decent move for one turn, let alone going to both.
Yep. And it's really strong. So whenever we saw the move, a lot of us were under the assumption it would work like Overheat, where your special attack stat drops by 2. And that's just not the case. It's a spread type attack that drops your special attack by 1, which means that Nasty Plot can not only reverse one use of that move, it actually puts it in a positive position.
Indeed.
So yeah, and I think it's interesting this is the first Golden Go we've seen in the tournament. I know, like I said, I was mentioning before, there are some that are anti-meta and are trying to build anything they can outside of the meta. And we have some that are kind of embracing some of the meta picks and kind of getting that going. So we're getting started here with the next match here pretty soon. There was some stuff getting taken care of, and they'll hop into their match. But no, Golden Go's been pretty big. The important thing to know that is its ability Good as Gold, which makes it so that status moves don't affect it at all. Another piece to that's important to discuss is that it means friendly status moves also fail.
I see.
So Helping Hand is a big pick to like secure a knockout. Helping Hand will fail on Golden Go because it's all status moves. The only status move The only status moves that can hit it are ones that don't actually like target it. So stuff like Haze actually works. There's a big meta pairing right now with Murkrow and Golden Go, because you can click Make It Rain and then you can Haze the next turn to reduce or to revert those stat changes, to bring it back to neutral, which is really cool. And then the only other Pokemon that can use status moves on is actually Toedscruel. The Tentacruel variation, because of Mycelium Might, which ignores abilities. But it's kind of got to be put in a weird place for that to happen that way.
Yeah.
So, just neat stuff. It looks like they are starting to get into the menus to get their match set up. And so both of these... Oh, go ahead.
Does Tinker's Mold Breaker help out Golden Go at all?
No, because Mold Breaker is attacking, it ignores abilities, whereas it's when attacking moves go through regardless of ability. So it's something like if you hit Mimikyu, it will go through the disguise instead of breaking the disguise first.
I see.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how that one works.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Let's pop over to the live match table where we've got Ganman and Happy by 3 setting up their teams. They're asking us for the go-ahead, and we're heading in.
Whenever they're ready.
Yeah. Pause the music I've got going and turn up lobby music.
I don't know whose team it was. Something I did notice was a level 22, which means that it probably hasn't gotten as much in the way of EV/IV training. Which
I didn't.
Is that correct?
Well, so you can EV train without leveling it up all the way. It only has to be level 50 to hyper train it for IVs, but EVs you can just give it medicines and stuff or use the bands and stuff. And it bumps them up to level 50. So looking at Happy by 3's team, we actually see Armarouge, Gardevoir, Hydreigon, Tinkaton, Kilowattrel, Golden Ghost, kind of what we were talking about before. Tinkaton was changed to the Life Orb as opposed to the Choice Band, and Golden Go having the Air Balloon, which is an interesting change.
What does the Air Balloon do?
It makes it so you can't get hit by ground attacks.
I see.
But the Air Balloon can be popped, but you have to hit it by something else first. With Golden Go being Ghost Steel, it's kind of a niche little way to at least not get hit by Earthquake turn 1.
Right.
On the side of Ganman, we actually see Ceruledge, the other variation to Armarouge, Tinkaton as well, so our 2 Tinkaton users, Rotom Wash, King Gambit, Gallade, and I think that was Veluza, the Psychic Fish, with Sharpness. So I've actually played Ganman's team recently as they were getting prepped for the tournament, so I actually know that team relatively well, unless they've changed some stuff since then. So we're leading off with Tinkaton, Hydreigon, and King Gambit Rotom Wash. So lots of really, really cool stuff right here, right away. Important to know that King Gambit is relatively slow. Rotom Wash is pretty fast. And so we got a couple options here. You could Hydro Pump, we could Will-O-Wisp, to kind of disrupt some damage. Hydreigon's got to watch out for a Brick Break, which is quad effective. So we'll kind of see what they go for here.
Mm-hmm.
King Gambit also needs to watch out for Tinkaton play rough into him. That is neutral, but oh, we see the early terrestrialization with Flying Terra. I'm guessing to avoid some sort of earth power, maybe. And Rotom using Trick, which is swapping items. What did I swap with? Tinkaton now has a Choice Scarf, and Rotom took that Life Orb. So important to note that Tinkaton is now locked into Knockoff until they swap out. which, funny enough, knockoff just knocks away the life orb that Rotom just got. What a wild turn one.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird things happening there, but it was all good setup for the rest of the match. Hydreigon gets hit real hard there.
Yeah. Let's see.
Thinking very carefully about what to switch to. We're getting Golden Go, looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Hydreigon getting swapped out. I wonder if it's a double switch. And after midnight, it's a great nickname for that. Ticketon gonna stick in with the knockoff to hit Kingambit with a critical.
Notably being forced to stick into the knockoff.
Right. Well, you could swap out, which is kind of what I thought would happen, but they opted to stay in. Now, the important thing is knocking off that Assault Vest is huge. Kingambit is no longer resistant to Steel by swapping to Flying, and with Golden Go in a prime position to click Make It Rain.
Yeah.
But the Ceruledge does offer an interesting position here between Shadow Sneak and even Bitter Blade into either slot. It'll be super effective no matter who it goes into. And unfortunately, Brick Break going into a Ghost type means it's not effective that last turn. And we see, we actually can see Happy by 3 remembering that they are choice scarfed with not much they can do about it.
Right.
But it actually seems to be kind of working well for them. Knockoff isn't their strongest attack, but being able just to remove all the items on the opposing side of the field can be really, really strong.
Absolutely, items can be an unexpected game changer, and so getting rid of them before they have a chance to pop off, yeah.
The reveal of Sucker Punch is gonna knock out the Golden Go before it can click Make It Rain.
Wow.
The Terra and the Ghost type not doing anything for it. And the knockoff into Ceruledge almost knocking out, and we'll get to see the life orb goes away. And we disable the knockoff as it's choice scarfed. Huh. That's a new one.
Interesting. That is a great thing to have in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Disable. Totally unexpected, but
yeah. So
absolutely forcing the change now.
Yeah, and as we can see on the stream, Hydreigon is also choice locked, so it has to pick its moves very carefully here. And then Ticketon is gonna have to swap out. There's nothing it can do.
Absolutely.
And we can see the deliberation very heavy here. I mean, this is a tough spot to be in. What was looking like a commanding position, one move can turn that around. But that's something you can remember for game 2, is that you got to watch out for that Sucker Punch. And there's the struggle. In a Ceruledge, it's not going to be enough to KO. And Draco Meteor connects. That's kind of a risky attack. And also because it's choice locked, it's going to be at -2 with nothing it can do. And that Ticketon's still going to be struggling pretty much from here on out.
Yeah.
And Ceruledge not securing the knockout on Ticketon. It's going to heal back up a good chunk of HP, which is not something you want to see as your special attack keeps getting lowered. Also noticeably, their Tailwind peters out this turn, so Happy by 3 actually loses the speed advantage here.
Yeah, when you are building a team that's using Tailwind, you're wanting to take care of things as quickly as possible. And yes, having that Tailwind peter out on you, having it timed out is just not something you want to be working through.
Yeah. Ganman with the Pokemon lead here. Now, there's still plenty of room for things to kind of swing Happy by 3's way, but they've got to make sure that their attacks are 100% in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
Hydreigon, again, choice locked into Draco Meteor. That attack is only going to get weaker and weaker. The only way they can really counteract that is by getting lucky with a critical hit, which is still doable. It's possible. So you can't count it out. And Armourouge here, very, very strong. Does also need to be careful that they don't click Armor Cannon into Ceruledge, who could be Flash Fire. Okay. Draco Meteor does connect, and it does a lot more than it probably had the right to at -2. We see the skill swap from Gallade, which is going to swap abilities, giving sharpness to Ceruledge. It's still not going to be enough to secure the knockout, unfortunately. As Ceruledge goes down, it's still anybody's game at this point. We saw Draco Meteor at -2 did a little over half of the Gallade's HP. So really what Happy by 3 needs to hope for is that they crit with the Draco Meteor, and that Armourouge can secure the knockout on whatever it decides to hit. I kind of like what they're going for here, the Armor Cannon into the Gallade, but the Gallade's going to protect. If they had doubled up into the Rotom, we might have found ourselves in a slightly better position. But, oh, Draco Meteor's almost... that does so much damage, despite being at -4. But the Thunderbolt is going to get the KO. This match has ended up way closer than I really thought it was going to.
It has been bouncing back and forth for sure, and that's the sign of a really good matchup, and that's why they're both at this point in this bracket. They both brought strong teams, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, that's true. Both teams, both players are currently undefeated in the winners bracket right now, and so yeah, it's really well constructed stuff. It's not going to get the KO onto the Armourouge, but the Hydro Pump will secure it. And that's going to be a round 1 loss for Happy by 3 and a round 1 win for Ganman as we take it into round 2. Again, looking at information detailing here. Terra types on a surprising Terra type on King Gambit was revealed, and the Terra type on Golden Go being revealed is pretty big too.
Yes.
It's not Steel type.
Do you recall what Golden Go's was?
Ghost.
Okay.
Which isn't terribly surprising. However, it not being Steel type basically means that you can click Sucker Punch into that slot pretty much for free, or just a Dark type attack into that slot for free, and it will always be super effective, which is really big information.
It is hard to deal with Sucker Punch just by the nature of what the move is, and so very, very strong thing on Gayman's team.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, they could always click Nasty Plot to bait the Sucker Punch and then have something else KO the King Gambit. Those are certainly options, but you have to play around it pretty hard.
The important music decision there.
Yes, random, leaving it up to fate.
Yeah, leaving heart in the cards. What kind of mood you're going to put yourself into.
Also, an important note for the Guard of Wire is that we have Focus Sash on it, as opposed to the Babiri Berry we mentioned earlier.
With Focus Sash and Protect, if you just need to let it kind of be a punching bag for a little bit, it can pull off that roll well, and hopefully take some focus while your other Pokemon get some damage done.
The important thing, too, is that God of Wire does have Trick Room on it, but the unfortunate thing is that the team that they're going up against does not have Tailwind. A lot of times you can click Trick Room the same turn. Another team is likely going to click Tailwind and then use their speed boost against them in Trick Room. But unfortunately, we don't see that here.
I was mixing up Gardevoir and Gallade. Gallade is the...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what Gardevoir has.
Actually, I think they both get access to Trick Room, which is kind of interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So we see the Dragonite and the Tinkaton, which is a pretty impressive lead here. And Guard of Wire is going to copy Multiscale, which means it's going to take less damage while it's at full health.
Yeah. Tinkaton and Dragonite, just two of the absolute cutest Pokemon, and you don't know how scary they can be.
Yeah. The surprise of the Focus Sash here is going to be really, really good for Happy by 3 if Tinkaton opts for a Gigaton Hammer into Guard of Wire. And we see the normal type Terra on the Dragonite. This is kind of a meta thing with the normal type Terra into Choice Band Extreme Speed. I don't think it's that, if I recall, but we'll have to see right here. Nope, it is extreme speed.
Okay.
And this is going to do a ton. It's actually going to KO Kilowattrel before it gets a chance to do anything. And then the Dazzling Gleam, because of the Terra type change, it's not going to be super effective on the Dragonite anymore. With a heavy deliberation now on who to bring in next.
Very important to take your time on making these calls.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be like, all right, do I need to get something out that can help my team if I need to like get that Tailwind going again, or do I need Golden go out there and try and get it to make a big hit before hopefully another Sucker Punch or something gets landed.
Yeah. Important to know on the Dragonite that if it is Choice Band, it can't hit Golden Go pretty much the rest of the game. Because of the Ghost typing, but we'll see kind of what's going on here. We do see the Terra onto Golden Go, breaking the Ghost. Hoping to avoid... probably to avoid a fighting type attack or something, or normal type. Helping Hand, Extreme Speed is going to go into the Guard of Wire, but we know it's Focus Sash. So, and actually, that only did half. That did a whole lot less than I was expecting. With a Choice Spec Shadow Ball going into the Tinkaton. That doesn't KO either.
Tinkaton has surprisingly good defense. Something strange for something that's small. It's like it wants to stick its hammer out in front of it.
Yeah.
Take a lot of this text.
Let's see. Again, very important decision here as we go. Here, the Golden Go is in a pretty good spot to click Make It Rain, and we haven't actually seen Make It Rain come out pretty much at all. This God of Wire swaps into the Hydreigon to take whatever's coming in. Likely trying to conserve the God of Wire for something later in the match.
Hydreigon also able to get out another Tailwind if needed.
Yeah. Okay, we see the Shadow Ball going into the Tinkaton. So I really like what Happy by 3 is doing here. Trying to rotate around, trying to keep these Pokemon alive so that to take out everything other than the Dragonite to hopefully turn this into a Dragonite Golden Go 1v1 that Golden Go will always win.
Right. I tell you, a lot more control than I would have. I'd see the Trastalization and get scared and want to take that out. So it's good that they're noticing that.
Yeah. Actually, important note here is that the Hydreigon is Choice Spec, so it actually can't afford to click Tailwind here.
Oh, good call.
If it does, I mean, it's going to be stuck, but I mean, you've got 32 HP. You're probably going down this turn anyway. So just trying to get the most value out of whatever you got. It's got to be the Draco Meteor, I would imagine.
I mean, the Draco Meteor did so much for it last time.
Yeah. As we see the Make It Rain finally being clicked from Golden Go. As Glade protects, which is going to be really, really bad this now upcoming turn.
Yeah.
Extreme Speed comes in, which always has top priority, is going to knock out the Hydreigon. With a Guard of Wire in the back. A Galade's going to stay up. I'm not sure if it's got any surprises up its sleeves, but this Make It Rain should knock out the Dragonite. The unfortunate thing here is that now we have a Galade at full HP, and then whatever's coming in the back at full HP. And if it's the King Gambit, then Golden goes in for a rough time.
Absolutely.
We'll have to see.
I mean, after you have that King Gambit play in the first round, I'd be surprised if you don't try and pull it back out this round.
Yeah, but it's actually going to be the Ceruledge. Important to know that Ceruledge probably has Shadow Sneak, which will do a decent amount. But then trying to figure out what's the best move from here. What's the angle? You're already at -1 with Golden Go, and you have to take out 2 Pokemon in your 1. I would expect Shadow Sneak to do about half here from the Saru ledge. One of our clicks helping hand, forgetting about the good as gold ability that we mentioned before the match started, which is really, really unfortunate. Losing what could have been damage, but let's see if this is enough to do it. And it holds on via, not even via a focus sash. So a Dazzling Gleam here would have been in a much better position. If Night Slash will secure the KO onto the Golden Bow. I don't know how much Dazzling Gleam would have done outside of... I mean, it would have knocked out... Oh, Ceruledge actually knocks himself out here with the Life Orb. So it comes down to the Gardevoir Gallade.
What a fitting final little match here.
Yeah, with a single target Dazzling Gleam. Let's see who moves first.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Gardevoir is one of my favorite Pokemon, so I'm really excited to see Gardevoir in the match. Honestly, seeing Gardevoir and Gallade is really, really cool. So Gallade's going to opt for the Protect. Not entirely sure what the hope is, unless it's waiting for Tailwind to come out.
Maybe seeing if something interesting happens.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Maybe looking for an attack that might require a charge or something.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough to say. A lot of times when you protect in these 1v1 situations, it's to do something to like stop something else. And we're actually gonna get to see Gardevoir click Jerk Room, but the thing is, I don't actually know the speed tiers here. I don't know who's actually faster or not. This could actually be in Ganman's favor. But let's see. Gardevoir hits. It's not enough. It's barely not enough to get the KO. Oh my gosh. Oh man, that little bit of extra damage on the turn they clicked Helping Hand. There's so many options that could have reversed that. Oh, but man, what a game.
That was very tight. That 1v1 lasted just long enough. And unfortunately not able to quite turn it around. But it was definitely intense. It was a great match from both sides.
Yeah.
Getting it down to that point is always a nail biter.
Yeah. So Ganman takes the lead here in our winners bracket as our Happy by 3 gets to take a break. Eldorada. Oops. So it's gonna be our match. Next match is gonna be Eldorada versus the Nerdy Gnome. Which I'm in the wrong chat for this. Eldorada versus Nerdy Gnome. Winner fights Happy by 3. Winner of that fights Ganman. Okay. So now we get... So now Ganman gets some time to kind of... collect himself as he kind of waits until there. You lose bracket, finishes up, and fights Ganman. And then so we'll get to watch from Nerdy Gnome's perspective again.
Okay, let's take a look at Eldorada's team, because that's a team that we haven't gotten to
yet.
Seeing another Golden Ghost, seeing another Skeledirge. Meowscarada is, with its Focus Sash, is one that I have also seen quite a bit of use out of. Are you expecting that to kind of be one of the focal points of the team, or are you expecting one of these other folks to kind of take the lead?
So the Meowscarada has the ability to just kind of nuke whatever it wants. I'm Eldorado has some really smart team building here with I've got the team pulled up, but let me go back into it. Has some really nice team building with the Meowscarada. Flower Trick always crits. With Protean, you can actually get rid of your dark typing to not take super effective fighting attacks.
Right.
Volcarona with Flame Body, Quiver Dance, Rage Powder. It's very similar to the set that Nerdy Gnome has, but allows it's a little bit more offensive than the other set, with an interesting Terra of Ice type. We've got Grimmsnarl here with Fighting Terra for screen support, which we haven't seen yet. I really like it. The Skeledirge with Throat Spray and Unaware. This is where Torch Song can go from a +1 to a +2 thanks to Throat Spray. With the Slack Off for healing support. Again, the ability Unaware on that team makes it so that he just ignores the stat boost. He doesn't care what stats you have on it. The Garganackle I love to see. It's a beefy boy with body press where it actually uses its defense stat to attack, so it doesn't care if you feather dance it. And Salt Cure puts on the pressure pretty hard. With, of course, the Golden Go that we've seen, but this one is notably Life Orb, with it's also the Ghost Terra, with Recover as well. So I'm expecting maybe a little bit more defensive investment on that one. So very interesting team to kind of go against, and you have to respect the Meowscarada. It can pretty much, crits go through defenses, so you can set up all you want, but it will knock something out if it wants to.
Yeah, and I might have just missed this. Grimmsnarl with the fighting terrestrialization. What do you think is the thought process there, completely switching it away from Dark and Fairy?
So getting hit by steel sucks. So by putting on Fighting Terra, I think you actually resist. So being able to resist Make It Rain while setting up a light screen to really mitigate that damage is pretty big. But noticeably, though, if he does Terra into fighting, it does open it up to getting hit by Prankster abilities. It could also be that that's just the Terra on the Grimmsnarl he got from a raid. That's kind of the part of it, too. But if it's deliberate, I really like it as a defensive choice, which is what I imagine that he's going for here. And again, I like it a lot.
It feels like a deliberate choice.
Yeah, I agree. With Spirit Break as well and Parting Shot. All right, it looks like they're ready to start the match. I'm getting my name yelled at me. So we're going into the live match. By the way, those of you that were playing in the tournament that are now allowed to be in the stream, I hope you guys had fun. Thank you for joining us and for sticking around and watching the stream. And I hope the commentary is at least somewhat helpful in that regard.
Yeah, I know all of my amazing intellectual insights are sure to boost so many teams.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to do this again. Like, I'm already thinking about the next one. We still have this one to get through with a lot of great matches ahead of us, but just I love Pokemon. I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
And these have been some really stellar matches.
Refreshing your stream to make sure I'm as caught up as possible here.
Gotcha. Yeah, we are still in team preview. Once again from the Nerdy Gnome's perspective, we can see that he's really, really taking his time to make sure, because this is the game. Because they've got these two players have a long road ahead of them, because they have to win this match and then go up against Happy by 3, who then has to go up against Ganman at the top, and then in the losers bracket, you actually have to beat the winners bracket person twice to win the whole thing.
I see.
So we've got potentially 4 battles ahead of us to follow. So Nerdy Gnome making absolutely sure that he's got exactly what he wants moving forward.
Absolutely. At an absolute minimum, that's going to be 8 matches, and likely more.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you want to make sure you are taking your time, not letting yourself make any mistakes. That's something Nerdy Gnome's been really good at so far, has been making sure they are focused on what they are wanting to do.
Yeah. So Grimmsnarl, Garganackle, we see right away to put on that defensive kind of defensive oppression here to get things started. With this kind of we have the Torkoal Lilligant lead again, which does threaten the. I mean, that's a ton of damage output around on turn 1. So we're gonna see right away how well these defenses kind of take effect. And we see deliberation from the side of Nerdy Gnome as to what he wants the Torkoal to do. Kind of swapping options. We're looking at Eruption. We're looking at Terra potentially. So we're gonna opt for the Terra Fire. We're just gonna kind of go all in on the damage and see what happens.
Yeah. Sometimes you just don't want to screw around. You want to get directly to taking down the HP. You got to make the green bar go red.
Yep. So we actually see a Fairy Terra from Garganackle, which is actually going to reduce the damage that Eruption does, because Fairy resists both fire and fighting, which is an interaction I usually forget about when I'm in my matches. But we have the Light Screen from Grimstar. That's going to nullify special damage in half. So we're actually going to see a good chunk of damage just gone. So here we have the Solar Beam, the Garganackle, and that should do a lot more to that Pokemon. But we are with Salt Cure coming in, and that's going to do 1/8 of Torkoal's HP every turn. So Eruption will do less and less every turn.
Yeah, and that, important to note, persists when the Pokemon is switched out. So if it gets knocked out or if it switches out, it's still getting that free extra little bit of damage.
Yeah. Also, important speed interaction here to take note of is that Torkoal is slower than Garganackle. And so there leaves a lot of opportunities for Garganackle to kind of get back in the game from that low HP vantage point.
Absolutely.
The exciting thing about this match is that we have two really unique team builders here with two very unique strategies. Kind of this physically bulky set versus kind of this specially offensive hyper offense team.
That's something I've enjoyed seeing throughout the entire evening is the difference in matchups. There hasn't really been two teams going against each other doing the same thing.
Yeah, all different. So we get to see Grimmsnarl's newest toy of Parting Shot going to swap out while reducing the stat of whoever is targeted by it. So we get to bring in the Skeledirge for free, who's going to take this like a champ. Yeah. An important note here, too, is that Eldorado hasn't seen this team yet. So both of these players are seeing these teams for the first time. So they're kind of figuring out each other's moves a little bit. At this point, I would think Eldorado probably is assuming Torkoal is Choice Scarf. We have no reason to believe he's not yet. So it leaves room for some other options as we get going here. But this Garganackle is going to be a problem with Recover. And Eruption getting less and less effective. Unfortunately, there's really not a whole lot on Nerdy Gnome's team at this point that does like a ton to it. Clear Smog, actually, it hasn't even boosted its stats at all. It just has to be pure damage output. So I think it's going to be best if the Lilligant starts attacking as well. We did get one special attack boost last turn. We'll see what they go for. Here comes the Solar Beam. Garganackle not doing a ton. If you're Nerdy Gnome, it's not really what you want to see. And again, another important reveal here that Eldorado has put out, that the slack off on the Skeledirge. So now, as we get into game 2 later, we're going to see that really start to take effect and matter. Mm-hmm. As Nerdy Gnome now reveals that he's not Choice Specs and is going to actually turn on the Sandstorm to mitigate the leftovers damage, and also to allow Houndstone some maneuverability later in the game. Important to note as well for those watching, weather effects take effect in turn order. or in speed order. So the fastest Pokemon will take weather effects first. So if you're ever curious about which Pokemon is actually faster, that's how you figure it out.
That is intriguing. I did never know that.
Yeah. So now we're actually going to see the swap into the Houndstone, hoping to take advantage of that. We actually get another Quiver Dance on Lilligant, hoping to boost itself up. Again, reminder that Skeledirge doesn't care about that, but Gargonackle does. As this Torch Stone goes into the Lilligant, it is going to secure the knockout on it. But with Houndstone in, that actually just boosts up Houndstone, the last respects. With Sand, it is going to go pretty fast. And now we see the Throat Spray boost onto Skeledirge.
Mm-hmm. You have to think maybe they were expecting Lilligant to get taken out, which is why you're holding off on your bird.
Yeah.
I forget the name.
Oh, yeah.
But, wanting to get Houndstone out there, knowing it's about to get powered up, so he can pull off a move.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's again thinking 2 or 3 turns down the line.
Yeah. So now comes the question: is it worth bringing the Oricorio or the Torkoal? And it looks like he wants to conserve the Sand, make sure that he's faster than his opponent. Important note that the Gargonackle's pressure mostly comes from Salt Cure. We actually haven't seen click anything outside of that. We know it has Body Press, and it's reasonable to assume it has Body Press, but yes. Important to note that it can't actually hit Houndstone for super effective or can't hit at all with Body Press, but that Salt Cure actually does more damage to Ghost types. Mm-hmm. As Skeledirge almost goes down right there, and it's going to go down with the Revelation Dance. So I imagine Nerdy Gnome is trying to whittle down the team to being just the Gargonackle. To try and make it have to be a very difficult 2v1.
Absolutely, yeah. If you can hold off those strong attacks, try and help your team live through that as much as possible. Get it down to that 2v1 situation.
Yeah.
Kind of ignore it up to that point.
Yeah. So we know that there's the Grimmsnarl on the back from the side of Eldorado, but there's a 4th Pokemon we have not seen yet, and we're actually going to see it right now in the Meowscarada. We know it's Focus Sash. It's reasonable to assume it's Focus Sash. So Nerdy Gnome really needs to hope that they can get 2 attacks off into Meowscarada.
Uh-huh.
Again, considering options very carefully. All right. I would imagine it's a Flower Trick, but thanks to Sand Rush, we know it actually goes first, and that actually does less than Nerdy Gnome was probably hoping for, going for the knockoff into Houndstone, which will get the KO. Meowscarada is a very hefty threat to have to deal with, but that transition to Dark type actually means that Meowscarada survives, and they've got a wild battle to get through on the rest of the way. Yeah, Protean is an ability that got nerfed in Generation 9. It used to proc every time you attacked, and now it's just once while you're in battle. But if it swaps out and comes back, it can activate the ability again. And it completely changes their type. And then Terra type overrides Protean. So,
that can be big, changing your type twice in one battle. Just constantly keeping them on their toes. Yeah.
Yeah, and Meowscarada can learn U-turn, which is a bug type move, so it gets Protean U-turn, stab U-turn, and then when it comes back in, it can do it again on a different type, and then Terra has another option. At this point, Eldorado probably, or Nerdy Gnome trying to find some form of out. Meowscarada can only take out 1 Pokemon, and we have yet to see Body Press come out from a Gargonackle, so there's a lot of options here. The U-turn coming in, it's not going to be enough to KO Oricorio, and it's going to bring in the Grimmsnarl. Very nice positioning here. Not quite willing yet to just let Meowscarada go down. And we should be pretty close to the last turn of our light screen here. Ooh. Yeah. At this point, I think Nerdy Gnome also is trying to figure out as much information as he can. You can see he just looked in the menu there to see how many turns of light screen are left still. And that information tells you that the Grimmsnarl is light clay, which boosts the turns.
Yeah, it's like even if it doesn't work out for you in this first match, you know kind of what to prepare for in the next in the second, because there's a lot that this team is built around.
Yeah.
And there's multiple different things that multiple different strategies he can get out of these Pokemon. Even within a selection of 4, he can get out 2 or 3 different like main strategies. So
I think if I'm Nerdy Gnome, I'm thinking Quaquaval is going to be big in this. Even if we know Garganacl is pretty defensively bulky in the physical attack stats, but being able to power them up, taking out the enemies, and using those Moxie boosts is advantage. We know Skeledirge. Skeledirge doesn't like taking water attacks. We also have the option of the Volcarona to really get those boosts. If I'm Eldorado, I'm thinking about, okay, Garganacl was huge. What can I use to better position that advantage? So as we go into match 2. But really well played overall. Again, best of 3s are an information game. So like that right there, that knockoff is actually huge because it told Eldorado that that Torkoal is safety goggles. Yes. Which I guess we could have inferred that earlier, but I forgot about it. So it means he wasn't taking sand damage because of it, like he should have been. But that was an outright confirmation, if you will.
Does also know about the armor or the assault vest now as well.
Yes.
From Houndstone earlier.
Yeah. So then you think to yourself, okay, so I can't really. I mean, you don't really want to aim for special attacks. You want to, try to think about your outs there. As we go into round 2. We actually see Nerdy Gnome going ahead with the Volcarona or Oricorio start here as a potential. Oh, as he clicks around and changes his mind. Important to note that Eldorado also has the Volcarona with a pretty similar set, but I don't know how much value the Volcarona gives Eldorado here. We have the Golden Go, but against 2 fire types, you don't really want to bring that necessarily without really positioning yourself well. So it could very well be the same 4 core from Eldorado, which is pretty strong.
Yeah, seen him switch off the Lilligant and thinking about Houndstone, which is surprising. Houndstone is usually a safe bet, trying to save him for later. And so thinking about bringing him in earlier.
Yeah. It's possible to also try to consider, because really I think he wants to figure out, how do I get rid of Garganacl sooner? Just Salt Cure is far too oppressive. I mean, I think it's actually like an 1/8 of HP, and then it's a 4th if it's some other types. It's a lot, or like a 16th and then an 1/8. But I mean, even at a 16th, that's such a significant amount of damage to have to consider every turn.
Absolutely. Looks like it starts off as an 1/8, and then if it's steel or water, of course it's doubled.
Yeah. So we actually see a Grimmsnarl Golden Go lead from Eldorado. So we were just talking about how we weren't sure Golden Go was really the move here. It could be trying to bait something out. Make It Rain is strong no matter who you hit, for the most part. Even at not very effective, even at resisted damage, it puts in a lot of damage. But we'll see kind of what's going here. Nerdy Gnome considering the Terra, the Psychic Terra, going ahead and revealing that Psychic Terra to hit the Ghost for super effective. And we're actually going to see Eldorado swap into Garganacl. Okay.
Here we go.
So a very smart lead from Eldorado, trying to be like, okay, I know you don't want Golden Go out here. We know that you'll probably target it because Grimstar doesn't put on that much offensive pressure. And he used that as an advantage to bring in the Garganackle pretty much for free. Now it is going to get like tripled into, but the light screen is going to mitigate a lot.
Yeah, Nerdy Gnome is wanting to get that Garganackle out soon, and so switching out to that, I mean, seeing that as Nerdy Gnome, I do get a little excited. Being like, okay, maybe I can help take it out quickly. That is maybe one upside.
Yeah. But now Oricorio is getting the special attack boost from Fiery Dance, so this Revelation Dance is going to do quite a bit more. Again, we know Garganackle is not the most physically special or specially defensive Pokemon. With the special attack boost, it's very well could be enough to knock it out if they go for a double up. Important to note, too, that now that Oricorio is Psychic type, it now resists Body Press. It still has to be careful of the Salt Cure. It's no longer weak to Salt Cure with that Terra as well. And we're actually going to see Grimmsnarl go ahead and go for the Reflect, setting up both sets of screens in case it doesn't get a chance to really survive them, which I think is really smart. Especially knowing that as of now, that information is not there that Nerdy Gnome can really do anything about the screens. And the Garganackle is going to make use of kind of this passive lead with and get to click recover, which is actually going to put it back to full. But important to note that the Oricorio is now up +2 special attack, while the Volcarona is... Actually, the Volcarona is also up +2. So it's got a lot of damage built up. We have to see whether or not Nerdy Gnome wants to kind of take advantage of that boost or need to leave Oricorio in and position out maybe into the Quavel or something else. But it looks like Grim is going to Parting Shot into the Volcarona, putting it back down to +1 as it moves into another Pokemon. And as we see, it's the Golden Go.
Okay.
So we see
both big targets for Nerdy Gnome.
Yeah, and honestly, and this Oricorio is going to be at +3. Stab, Revelation Dance. So Golden Go's got a lot to kind of worry about here because of the speed boost that Oricorio keeps getting. The special defense boosts are really, really strong. While Garganackle kind of gets to just sit on the field, what Nerdy Gnome is going for here is paying off. Getting a lot of these special boosts. His Volcarona unfortunately takes a massive Salt Cure.
Ooh, that was huge. That is not good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, being quad weak to rock, it actually took that relatively well considering that, but getting another turn is huge, but yeah, not the thing you really want to see. And Eldorado considering now whether, or Nerdy Gnome considering whether or not he wants to try to KO the Golden Go or secure the Garganackle, and it is going to go into the Golden Go, who's going to live on 1 HP.
Oh no.
But the Fiery Dance is going to finish it off thanks to Oricorio's Dancer ability, which is massive. Massive.
Very, very lucky target as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, considering that was a coin flip, whether or not that would be the case.
Yeah, you absolutely needed that.
Garganackle lives, going to get the recover, but I think Volcarona stays alive another turn. Thanks to leftovers. If he can get the double up into Garganackle, I think he's in an okay spot. But that's a big if, depending on who's in the back. And a reminder that all of these attacks are still going through light screen, so all of this damage is halved of what it would normally be. But Nerdy Gnome finding himself here in the Pokemon lead. Trying to figure out how to best, because this is going to be Volcarona's last turn probably on the field.
More than likely.
So trying to think about whether or not keep it in, just sack it, get the free switch, or try to put yourself in an upward position now. And I like his move here just to stay in and just sack the um, stack the Volcarona. But also the parting shot in Oricorio. So a weird interaction here is that if parting shot can't actually lower stats, then you don't get to leave. So Eldorado is stuck with this Grimstar on the field and not being able to lower Oricorio's stats. Which is a huge information gain here. Knowing that Oricorio is clear amulet means you're not going to click parting shot into that slot anymore. And knowing that you can't stop it from setting up once it starts to get set up. So you have to take it out sooner, knowing that it has clear amulet.
We are seeing Volcarona get one more turnout, it looks like, surprisingly. Holding on by a thread.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Oricorio, there are 2 dark types on the field, so Revelation Dance is not going to do any damage at all. Nerdy Gnome's looking at Volcarona's stats. And we're actually going to see Volcarona move first thanks to its abilities, and it is going to hit into there. We do get to see whether or not the Dancer ability from Oricorio get another double KO.
Right.
I think it was. I think I saw the Masquerada turn. Very, very lucky for Nerdy Gnome here, who's also going to get to pull off this baton pass and just pass all those speed stats off to somebody else.
Absolutely incredible. 2 very good coin flips in a row. Still keeping that advantage.
And it's really interesting, too. We kind of saw like a dominant first game from Eldorado, and then here we actually get to see a dominant game from Nerdy Gnome, as we are probably going to... I don't think Grimstar wins a 1v3 here.
And that's the importance of your 4 selection. You know, that's something that we've seen Nerdy Gnome focusing on very hard at the beginning of these games. That could absolutely turn it around. So, you know, if the first match doesn't work out well for you, don't worry about it. Come back in with a strong mind, get ready for that second game.
Yeah.
It's going to make a very beautiful 4th match.
Yeah.
Or 3rd match, sorry.
Yeah. Play rough, notably not lowering the attack if Grimstar had gotten another attack off. But no, we see a dominant game from Nerdy Gnome with only 1 Pokemon lost. And now we get to go into an extremely exciting game 3. So it's important to know that in game 1, Garganackle just got to sit on the field the whole game and Salt Cure the entire team.
Yes.
Whereas in this one,
Nerdy Gnome came in knowing they needed to take it out.
Yep. And we saw Garganackle go down. It didn't really... I mean, it still took some doing, and it took quite a bit of setup to get the Oricorio where Nerdy Gnome needed it because of the bulk on Garganackle. The setup took a little bit longer than he probably would have liked.
Yes. Honestly, if I'm Nerdy Gnome here, I'm not really changing up much what I'm doing. That even expecting changes from Eldorado, still happen to do pretty well for yourself. So,
yeah. I think.
what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think so too. With the clear amulet, make it so that stats can't be dropped. It puts Oricorio in a really nice spot. But now I think the switch is not the Pokemon from Nerdy Gnome. It's the kind of the aggressiveness, setting up faster, not being afraid of what's coming out necessarily from Eldorado's side. And conversely, I think Eldorado's got to do some sort of setup too, or just start taking out that Oricorio.
Very excited to see what Eldorado is going to be changing up here. I mean, Garganackle obviously doing work for them, like not going to be taking that out.
Yeah, so we see the Masquerada Grim. If I'm Nerdy Gnome, I want to make sure I'm watching out for Masquerada clicking knockoff into Oricorio, knocking off the clear amulet, and also potentially hitting it for super effective if you do Terra turn 1. Trying to mitigate that issue. We actually see Nerdy Gnome prepping for that with the Protect here. So there's the reflect. That's more or less what we expected.
I'm holding on to this item as long as I can.
Yeah. And there's the knockoff. So it'll swap to dark type. I imagine that's going into Oricorio. Yep. So very nice of Nerdy Gnome to recognize that. And I don't think we've seen Protect yet in this best of 3 set from the Oricorio.
I think you're right. That has been being held up.
Yeah, so you save it till round 3, and then again, another really nice coin flip here, taking out the Masquerada turn 1, and getting that special attack bonus, whilst getting to stay protected. So very, very, very well done, knowing that, and even if knockoff hadn't gone into the Oricorio slot, that still would have come out on top for Nerdy Gnome. I do like the Skeledirge swap here, saying once again, I don't care about your stat boost. You're going to hit me for normal. I'm going to hit you for normal. We're not messing with any of this setup. I imagine we see a light screen come out from the Grimsnarl to make sure we mitigate the Revelation dances and the attacks from Volcarona. Where Skeledirge, I'm hoping we see, I imagine we'll see a Torch Song too, start to get set up in a way where we can see something come out from Eldorado.
Yeah, honestly, use the Skeledirge to try and weaken things up as much as possible before getting your Garganackle back out, knowing that your Salt Cure is going to be as effective as it is against this team.
Yeah. There's the Struggle Bug. I think this is at +2. Yeah, you can see it does nothing to the Skeledirge, but lowering special attack, notably before the Torch Song comes in. Quaquaval, you know what? That's still actually pretty decent damage. Again, with Unaware. And there's Torch Song boosting special attack. Actually, I think it only affects attacks going in it. Going back to Cerebi. My best friend. Oh, when attacking, the Pokemon ignores the target's Pokemon stat changes. So, yeah.
See, so it does not ignore its lowered special attack already.
Yeah. So they get to keep their bonuses, but if they raise their special defense, it doesn't matter. So nice, we get to see the Quaquaval come back out. We haven't seen Quaquaval in a little bit. And again, with Moxie, we see it snowball pretty hard.
Yes. Smart choice, and a very, very good choice. Not knowing that Skeledirge was going to be coming out, lucky that you have that on hand.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this is just, it's going to do a ton of damage regardless. And also mitigating that fighting weakness, or the fighting type to remove your weakness to fairy and flying is a pretty big deal. But we also see the Terra from Skeledirge here, mitigating its water weakness. So,
interesting.
Kind of a fun switcheroo we see right away. And here is the boy, the Minecraft Bob. As Volcarona Quiver dances up, maintaining its stat presence. Open to knockout Skeledirge. Yeah, only doing about a little less than half. But that speed boost is going to be really, really important for the next couple matches. Shadow Ball and a Volcarona, notably, with Terra Boost, and it's gonna survive. Important note here that I think I can't remember if Bug beats. Nope, never mind. Bug does not beat Psychic, but I believe Volcarona is at like +3 right now with its special defense, or special attack, special defense, speed. But it looks like we might be looking at some sort of swap with Oricorio coming in with maybe a boost from Quaquaval to give it another attack.
Hopefully with that Aqua Step trying to boost its attack as much as possible.
Yeah. And that's what we're going for here. Important to note that if Shadow Ball goes into that slot, Oricorio is still... Oh no, it's Electric Flying, so never mind. I thought it was normal type. So never mind. Shadow Ball can go into it. Aqua Step doing a little over half. Pretty good damage here. as the Oricorio is going to get a free attack off too, despite just switching in.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much, but every little bit of damage helps. I believe another Aqua Step will KO unless Garganacle's going for a recover here. Expecting a double up, but I would imagine Salt Cure. Yeah, there it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Slack Off proving to be a very powerful tool from the Skeledirge.
Yeah, I'm only just now getting through that, but yeah, the Aqua Step hitting the Garganacle as well did bring it into that KO range for the Quavel. So, like you said, every little bit counts, especially when you're dealing almost half.
Yeah.
Getting it past half is good.
Yeah. So we're going to see the Quavel go into the Garganacle here. Oricorio protecting to mitigate any damage, but it still gets a free attack thanks to its ability. And we'll see if this is enough to take out the Garganacle. And it is! So no more Salt Cure going across into the enemy field. And Oricorio is going to do a little bit of chip damage into the...
I believe Salt Cure stays until...
It does, but you can't click it on any more Pokemon, which is the advantage here.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There's a little bit of extra damage into Skeledirge, but notably the speed boost. And it was a Shadow Ball in Oricorio. So we get another turn with Quavel, who has 2 speed boosts plus... Oh, wait, never mind. I was wrong. I forgot he was Salt Cured.
Yes.
Yeah, I was really excited because he had the Moxie boost. But it's still a net positive on the side of Nerdy Gnome.
Absolutely, and was able to boost up your Oricorio a lot before taking off. So.
Yep. And now we're on the side of Eldorado.
Still a Houndstone in the back pocket, by the way.
Yeah, so, and that's going to be really huge with the Skeledirge. Because Last Respect, Ghost hits Ghost for super effective, so Last Respects will probably secure the knockout on the Skeledirge. With Grimmsnarl really only being able to click Spirit Break.
Absolutely love this Terastallization on Skeledirge, by the way. Absolutely is what is keeping it in the fight and making it such a strong contender here.
Yeah. A really unfortunate crit for the side of Eldorado, but a very fortunate critical hit for the side of Nerdy Gnome, just to secure that massive damage going in as we get another Fiery Dance into Grimmsnarl.
Goodbye, Skeledirge.
Yeah. I think that solidifies this game up for Nerdy Gnome, but can't count it out. Critical hits happen, as we just saw. So can't put him out of the race yet, but this is a very difficult battle for Eldorado to win. Comes the Revelation. Oh my gosh, and another critical hit on the side of Nerdy Gnome. The fates smiled upon Nerdy Gnome today. Again, the climb is difficult.
Yeah, I think we might need to take a break and check Nerdy Gnome's cartridge here.
Yeah, check his switch, make sure he's doing okay.
Can we get a judge on that?
Unfortunately, that's also my job. Let's see. I'm asking him if he needs a break. We can chat for a bit.
Right. Absolutely.
Let's see what's going on here.
I guess now would be a great time to talk about our sponsors, the Pokemon Mart.
Yes.
If you want to get on down to the Pokemart, pick up all of your full restores and your Pokeballs. Make sure you're ready to go out for your next adventure. You can actually we have a sponsor code, right? We have if you code VGC Goat Cup.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll get 10 free fake Pokeballs. So go check that out.
Yeah, you make sure you let Pokemon Company know it's a real thing. No. So Nerdy Gnome is gonna take a couple minutes, grab himself something to drink for the games. He definitely deserves it. He's got a lot ahead of him.
Gotta
Um,
replenish all that sweat that's been building up from the.
yeah. So just to keep you guys refreshed on the bracket, it's Happy by 3 versus Nerdy Gnome in the losers bracket, and then the winner of this game goes on to play Ganman, who's sitting comfortably in the winners bracket. If Ganman wins that match, then he is crowned our victor at an undefeated position. If he loses, there will have to be another best of 3 set with whoever plays him next. So we could potentially have 4 matches left. We could have potentially like 8. So strap in, lots of Pokemon left. But I mean, well fought. I mean, to build a team that has to battle so many other teams successfully,
Yes.
It's very difficult, and especially like you're playing players that are not condoning to the metas. They're not, we have some meta Pokemon, but not necessarily like meta sets. We've seen there's no Dondozo. We have not even seen a Mungus.
Right.
So we've seen a lot of like kind of off the wall picks that you just can't prep for necessarily.
Yeah. I do love the. I've been singing its praises, but the Garganackle from Eldorado, I think, was just absolutely so powerful.
Yeah.
And sticking with that moving forward, I think it's going to be vital.
Yeah. So it's gonna be. It looks like they're ready. They're just hopping into it. They don't want to wait anymore.
Great.
So we're going.
They said, screw you two. We're gonna fight.
Yeah. So yeah, this is gonna be really, really good. Once again, yes, Eldorado, the Garganackle love. We've been singing its praises while you were battling. Very well fought match. Welcome to the stream.
So strong.
Yeah. So I'm really excited with the. I was really pleased with the team you built. It was a lot of fun to watch. And yeah, chat, here's the thing too, as we're kind of getting prepped in this match, if this is something that you are having fun watching and you're like, man, I wish I could do that, just send me a message. I would be happy to add you to, actually, you know what? I'm just going to post, I'll share this. I'll wait till after the match. But I will post a link to the Goat Cup Discord where I kind of annoy everybody with constant pings about getting these things set up. But it's a lot of fun, and I definitely want to do more of these kinds of things. So, and again, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, these are like, we are all normal people. You know, we're not Wolfie, we're not Cybertron Zang. We are normal people with normal lives playing Pokemon. So, you too can learn to play competitive Pokemon, and if you come and join, I would be happy to personally teach you guys how to play the game.
Yeah.
Competitively. So
can't speak for them, but I know I have been learning a lot just in the course of this one tournament. So, you know, if you are interested at all in doing like any sort of VGC regionals or anything,
yeah,
participating in something like this is going to get you ready for that so quickly. Probably one of the best routes to getting into that if you wanted to.
Yeah, and just playing lots of friendly matches, trying out teams. I mean, even just finding people that you can battle and help each other build teams and get on the ranked ladder stuff. It's a lot of fun. All right, so they are getting into the matches now. Once again, this is Nerdy Gnomes. We're going to be watching their perspective. Actually, no, we're going to swap it. I forgot. They both have stuff up. So we're actually going to highlight Happy by Three's perspective here. Bump up their audio. Awesome. So this is the Tikaton Armor Rouge kind of team alongside and going up against the Art of Dance core. Is playback enabled for us to go back and watch after? Yes, the VOD will be available, and I'm going to export this whole thing to my YouTube channel. So it's just, it'll only be the matches that I streamed. Unless your opponents also recorded their matches, but only the matches that we've been commentating over. All right, so we see Happy by 3 doing some hefty deliberation here. Now, these two have not played each other either. Because Happy by 3 was up in the winner's bracket until this point. And so they don't know what the little cheerleader bird can unleash.
Absolutely. I've been talking so excitedly about Oricorio all evening. Like that combo is just so interesting to me.
Yeah.
And so, hopefully they do see that there at the bottom of that list and realize what it's capable of. But if they don't realize what it's capable of, that can turn around on them very quickly.
Yeah. Important to note here, I like that they are considering the Kilowatt roll here in the opening lead to set up Tailwind to get that speed support. Is going to be really, really important. Notably, we're actually going to leave the Hydreigon and the Tinkaton behind. So,
yeah, it's good to have two different Pokemon that know Tailwind, so you can make this kind of choice going in.
Yeah,
between that Hydreigon and the Kilowatt.
Yeah, I will say it's a little rough with the Hydreigon knowing that it's choice specs. That it kind of makes it hard to maneuver around, but it is good to have that option. So here we have the Volcarona Oricorio against the Golden Go Kilowattrel lead. So I would imagine if I'm Nerdy Gnome, I'm thinking, okay, Tailwind is extremely likely. Do we have room to set up for free? Or do we have to watch out for something on the Golden Go side? So we'll have to see, because they could do the Protect Dance setup, or just go all offense with the Fiery Dance set. So I'm interested to see kind of what goes on here. And the Golden Go protects, which I think is very, very smart for this opening match. And the Oricorio protects.
Just a lot of people putting their fists up and taking a step back.
The thing is, though, if Fiery Dance is what's going into Golden Go, then this whole setup kind of fails for Nerdy Gnome. And we do see it go into the Protect, which means that Oricorio does not get that boost. So that was a net positive for the side of Happy by 3. So if you're Nerdy Gnome, you're thinking, okay, I've lost a considerable amount of boosts in turn 1, so I got to find some way around it. Again, we're fortunate enough to see Happy by 3's perspective. He's going to go for the Nasty Plot on Golden Go to raise its special attack, which could potentially make it vulnerable here, knowing what the Volcarona went for last turn. Also important to note, we haven't really talked about it yet, but Protect has a chance to fail on successive uses. Yes. So most of the time, it's fair to assume that when a Pokemon protects, they will be vulnerable the next turn. So
yes, I've been seeing attempts at successive Protect uses lately, but it's still good to just try and do the one and back out. And sometimes you can time out something like a Trick Room if you're able to get a few off in a row.
Yeah. Oh, and they missed the Air Slash. That is an unfortunate miss, because that means no damage is coming in from this side as we see Terra Fire Volcarona coming in with that Fiery Dance. And it's going to be enough to secure the knockout. Yeah,
and then we need somebody in there checking Nerdy Gnome's cartridge.
Yeah, as we get this Fiery Dance off from the Oricorio into Kilowattrel. That's going to do a significant amount of damage, as now we get a free Revelation Dance. As we secure the knockout on the Kilowattrel, we get a double knockout here. Something to note that is kind of interesting about double battles in general is that sometimes you actually don't want to knock out both Pokemon at the same time, because then you get a double switch, which means double the moveset under Tailwind. So now we have this Focus Sash Pokemon coming in, and then the Armarouge. So it's not necessarily out of Nerdy Gnome's favor, but it is interesting to consider. Now, Gardevoir takes Dancer, but I don't think it's going to be any benefit to them. They actually would have been better off taking Flame Body, but unfortunately, Trace goes against the Pokemon across from you. As we see the Helping Hand coming in, just trying to knock out the bird before it can do any more damage. As we see the communicating, we see that Nerdy Gnome is taking his time, making sure he's got a very significant lead and does not want to blow it.
Something we are quite familiar with is just them absolutely ensuring you make the right move.
Yeah. Here comes the helping hand. Oricorio protects, and we, unfortunately for us, we know where that armor cannon is headed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now it depends here what the Volcarona is doing. If it's Fiery Dance and Armor Reach, we could see a problem. It's Struggle Bug. Okay. So they opted to just kind of take the free damage, lower the special attack on both sides, which is massive. Even just a -1 can do a significant amount, especially when they can't swap out to reset it. Here we see Happy by 3 has some options. Wide Guard to stop a spread attack, Armor Cannon to try to do some damage, Psychic to do some different damage, on the Volcarona. All kinds of different options. Nerdy Gnome, expecting the Armor Cannon to go into Oricorio's going to bring in the Quaquaval to try and mitigate the damage there. Amazingly enough, if Psychic would have gone into the Oricorio, that would have been pretty solid. But a critical hit is going to take out the Volcarona.
Oh.
Saying, I don't care about your Quiver Dance buffs, you're going down. Which is really unfortunate because then those Oricorio boosts are just gone. As we send in the Houndstone. This is the first time we've seen the Houndstone come out when it wasn't, the last Pokemon in the party.
We did see one in the last game where it was like the second.
Oh, you're right.
Amount, but yeah, I mean that was absolutely abnormal. And so, it is interesting that they're willing to just give up on Oricorio's extra boosts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if anybody's going to be the playmaker here, it's going to be the Houndstone.
Yeah. Well, I think they were like, oh man, another critical hit into the Armor Rouge.
Right. Notably, the RNG did get turned against Nerdy Gnome, so finally we're seeing a little less bias from the random number generator.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and also it looks like just to peel back the curtain a little bit, Happy by 3 had meant to terrestrialize Armor Rouge into Darktite. But when they backed out of the menu, it reset it so they didn't actually terrestrialize. Unfortunately, I don't think it mattered. Aqua Step, critical hit, I think still would have gotten the knockout, but we'll never know now. But but yeah, that is an unfortunate thing. So to point out for you guys at home, if you click the terrestrialize button and you back out of that battle menu, it will reset it to where your terrestrialization will not go off. One of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And now we get to move into Battle 2. So we have an interesting adjustment possibilities here. The Oricorio is a major player, and that's kind of what we've talked about most of Nerdy Gnome's run. Is game 1 is a surprise. Game 2 is how do I deal with it?
Right, and that's something that Nerdy Gnome has also dealt with well, is expecting them to try and deal with the Oricorio. Mm-hmm. And that's when I think Torkoal will start to come out and have some fun.
Yeah. And then if you're Happy by 3, you're going, okay, I missed a pivotal attack into the Volcarona. How much would that have changed the game if that Air Slash would have hit? And you have to think to yourself, okay, if I go for it again, I'm more likely than not going to hit it the second time through. But that's something you have to balance when you use attacks that are not 100% accurate, as you think about game 2s as well. Notably, we're going to see Gardevoir come out right away. And instead of Golden Go Armor Rouge, we're looking at Tinkaton Hydreigon. It's interesting.
Yep. Getting both Kilowattrel and Hydreigon out, which is, I think, the first time we've seen them do that combo. Mm-hmm. Usually it's been one or the other.
Yeah. Well, it does put up an interesting question of because Nerdy Gnome doesn't know that the Hydreigon is choice specs. I think choice specs. It's not that it's an uncommon item; it's actually somewhat common on it. But you could also expect choice specs on the armor range. You could expect choice specs on Guard of Wire. And I don't know if we've seen enough for it to be revealed. It's tough to tell when you actually know. When you know the teams, you don't remember how much has been revealed through the battles. Here we're going to see the Lilligant Torkoal lead, which I really like. And Gardevoir is going to take Chlorophyll. That's actually huge. Chlorophyll doubles your speed in the sun. So now Gardevoir gets to take good use of that. And Torkoal is so slow, it is not going to matter. Now the question will be if they're going for the Lilligant after you play, whether or not it's enough to outspeed the Lilligant. It's lots of important options there, knowing that. Really, unfortunately, it comes down to the Lilligant. What happens? So the ball's kind of in Nerdy Gnome's court here.
Yeah.
But we do know that the Gardevoir is Focus Sash, which could provide some nice utility. As we see the Terrestrialization committed on the Torkoal. Again, important to note that the Torkoal here is not choice specs, and Gardevoir is fastest, and it's going to do a decent amount of damage there, as we see the After You Eruption.
I think, if I remember correctly, I think Torkoal is usually getting Terrestrialized immediately, almost every time we've seen it.
Yeah,
that's been the go-to strategy for Torkoal.
And another critical hit in favor of Nerdy Gnome into the Kilowatts roll, and I'm almost willing to bet that one mattered. It actually has more HP than the Gardevoir. I don't know about its special defense investment.
Absolutely agree.
But my goodness, that is a rough critical hit.
Very rough.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And now we have to pick between Tinkaton, Hydreigon. Now the thing is, the Gardevoir is in a really nice position. We know it's faster than both. Than the Lilligant. It could stand to take out the Torkoal with a really nice attack, and then Hydreigon could come in with something really, really strong onto the Lilligant. So I would imagine Dark Pulse or Draco Meteor. You have to watch out for the miss. I would feel uncomfortable clicking Draco Meteor, but perhaps they are bolder than I.
We've seen Draco Meteor do a lot for it before, and after that crit, it's at a point where it's like, do you need to try and make those big risky plays?
That's true. Yeah, you kind of gotta take stock and say, all right, I gotta make something big happen here to make this work. We're gonna see the Helping Hand into the Hydreigon. Potentially, hoping to knock out something. I didn't see what they clicked. And we're gonna see the Solar Beam. Actually, in the Gardevoir, finish it off. It's such overkill, but when you're in the sun, it's not as much of a commitment.
Absolutely.
And then we get to see Draco Meteor. It is going to connect to take out the Lilligant, but now again you're stuck in a position where you are -2 with no way to swap out and reset your stats. But also, this is going to be a single target. Oh, it's Sandstorm. Choosing to remove the sun in favor of sand to deal a little bit of chip damage, and also to bring in, I assume, Houndstone later in the game. And here we have Volcarona coming in, probably setting up some disruptive kind of support, and not wanting to just let Houndstone go down. Whittle down let the Hydreigon lose a bit more stats, assuming it's choice specs. As the Draco Meteor, that does almost KO the Torkoal still. Again, I'm amazed at how much damage that actually does, even at -2.
It would have been nice to see just a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, not quite pulling it off.
And the Bug Buzz is going to get the KO, Bug being super effective to Dark, which is a weird interaction. I can never actually remember that one. This eruption, not going to do a ton. Camera messed up. I didn't realize Tikaton was still there.
Yeah, that is a strange camera angle. It is just hiding down there.
Yeah. just Pokemon things. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a great out here. You kind of just hope. Unfortunately, yeah, there's no attacks that miss. I do like the move here to swap out of the Houndstone. Anytime you have a commanding position, the worst thing you can do is just kind of make a sacrifice you don't want to put your opponent back in it. So I like the swap.
Absolutely.
As Fiery Dance secures the KO. And that puts Nerdy Gnome into the winner's bracket again. So there we go.
So we will be seeing a Nerdy Gnome Ganman grand finale here today.
Yeah. So again,
reminder, Nerdy Gnome does need to win twice.
Yes, and that is let's see. Nerdy Gnome for finals. If Nerdy Gnome wins the first best of 3, you both go at it again.
I do find this this setting for battles to be really interesting. Being out on the schoolyard with the track, where it's like, okay, if one of your Pokemon misses an attack, go make him take a quick lap or 2, get focused.
Yeah. Making sure that Nerdy Gnome doesn't need another quick break.
Gotcha. While we figure that out, we are joined by Bugcatcher Wade today, actually. He was chilling out on Route 5. Wanted to ask him if he had any input on today's battle. He is expecting a lot of string shots to be happening out here. I'm not sure if we're going to see too many string shots, Bugcatcher Wade. But that is what our trained expert in the field is expecting today.
I love that. You know what's funny about that? So there's the Pokemon Spidops has a protect that lowers speed stats when you hit into it. So it's like protect string shot.
Very interesting.
Unfortunately, no one is running Spidops today. So there we are. But they're hopping right into it. They're ready to go. They've got a lot of Pokemon ahead of them. And they want to get into this. A quick little fun thing about this. So, of course, this tournament was set up and arranged by myself. And so that means that pretty much everybody playing the tournament is friends of mine in some way. Ganman is our resident Scarlet player in our in-person friend group. The rest of us played Violet. So he was the one responsible for getting us all the Scarlet Pokemon. The 3 of us have actually talked a ton of team building in our own personal group chats. So it's really, really cool to see that the finals actually comes down to kind of this, to 2 people that have talked a bunch about team building and getting each other into the game. So it's really neat. I'm excited to see this go down. I'm hopeful we see a best 6 tonight.
Mm-hmm. It would be a very fiery ending and great practice, of course, for both of these incredible competitors.
Mm-hmm. Now, the important thing to note too is that these 2 teams have not seen each other yet. So they're both going in blind to each other's team. Something important to note too about both of these players. So Nerdy Gnome has spent a lot of time with me in the team building process. They have also climbed up to the Master Ball rank. They're actually farther ahead on Master Ball rank than I am. Their peak is higher than mine. They were much more successful climbing up the ladder than I was. And so they're very familiar with a lot of the meta going on. Something important to note that Ganman has done is there's some meta Pokemon there that are not necessarily following the meta. or are kind of halfway following a meta, kind of some of the meta picks. So,
But has been working out for him so far.
yeah, I mean, he's undefeated here. And so we get to kind of see how that plays through with Nerdy Gnome. Get the music back going. So here we are for our finals match with a lead of Cerulege and Gallade into the dance duo of Quaquaval and Oricorio. Cerulege here in an interesting spot, a little bit difficult without a terrestrialization, and I'm not sure they would want to commit to a terrestrialization this early. And yeah, we got quite a Quaquaval looking in a really good spot here with access to Air Slash, Aqua Step, and Close Combat.
Usually we do see an early terrestrialization only on the Torkoal from Nerdy Gnome, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see the early terrestrialization.
We see the Cerulege realizing their poor positioning, and they are going to swap into the Rotom Wash, which is really excellent to see. Gallade protecting itself, not wanting to take too many unnecessary hits this early.
Just have to pray that they remember to take their clothes out before they started this battle.
Yeah.
On a lot.
So we see the speed boost come in from Quaquaval, and we'll see if Oricorio can hit the right partner, and it is. I'm wondering if that's not as 50-50 as I think it is. I'm sure Nerdy Gnome will go back in the stream and tell me all the times I was wrong about his team. But that's really good damage in a Rotom, and both partners getting a speed boost is really, really important here. We know that the Rotom is Choice Scarf, so I don't know if that gives it enough of an edge to outspeed Quaquaval. But it looks like Nerdy Gnome might be willing to take that chance. Because it's always interesting, because you could just get Thunderbolted into the Quaquaval slot. That's not necessarily something you really want. But here we are going to see the Psychic Terrestrialization from Oricorio. There's the Choice Scarf trick. Gonna steal the Clear Amulet, and Oricorio is now gonna be locked into this Revelation Dance. Notably gonna do about a third of the Gallade, which is still really, really good damage. Aqua Step into Rotom is not gonna get the KO, but as we get the Dancer attack from Oricorio. Losing access to getting to choose your moves is really is a big deal. Revelation Dance failed. I don't know why. A Psycho Cut comes in to take out the Quaquaval.
That is strange, because nothing I have read about Dancer indicates a higher chance of failing or anything.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's just a very slim percentage that we just saw there.
I wonder if it's... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Is it not under the effect of taunt, is it?
No. Yeah, I don't know why that would have failed. Oh wait, Revelation Dance. Same type as the user's type. I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Choice Scarf, that's why. It's locked into a move. Thank you.
Yes.
Ame Luna in the chat for reminding us of that. I just didn't think about the Choice Scarf overriding that.
Yeah, that is interesting. Especially since it's triggered by an ability and not like a selected move. Yeah.
And so now Nerdy Gnome, we get the benefit of seeing that he's realizing that he's locked in, which also means that the rest of these dance moves are going to fail, which is, it's kind of central to the team comp, which is that's huge, whether that was intentional or not. That's huge information going into game 2.
Yes.
So we see Gallade pull off the skill swap again to give Cerulege sharpness, which increases slashing moves by 50%. Basically gives it choice band damage without the drawback. Nice. And Night Slash will secure the KO here. Um, Honestly, it's probably better for Nerdy Gnome that the Oricorio is now out of the way. Means he can freely select other moves. He's got Houndstone in the back to hit Ceruledge for super effective. If this Dragonite is choice banned Extreme Speed, it's going to have a really rough time with the Houndstone here. So now we get to kind of see what they're angling for. You got a pretty easy last respects into Ceruledge here. You have, your options here are not great with the Volcarona. The Volcarona is truthfully in kind of a weird spot. Best you can do is that Flame Body procs on the Dragonite.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to see Dragonite terrestrialized. Ganman saving his terrestrialization until the very end.
I hadn't realized. I thought it had been used already.
Yeah. We got a pretty early one from Nerdy Gnome, and we are going to see the Extreme Speed come out into the Volcarona. Will it be enough to KO? The answer is no. And Flame Body is going to proc, which is going to burn the Dragonite, meaning that all of his attacks do half damage. And actually turning into a normal type removes the resistance it had to fire attacks.
Good call, yeah.
Oh, and Bitter Blade, though, is going to get the KO on Houndstone. Likely due to that sharpness boost. That is a very unfortunate attack there. Ceruledge also notably being, I think, one of the first Pokemon to just outright outspeed the Houndstone.
Yeah, and I don't think anything's been able to take out the Houndstone that quickly yet, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Usually that's a thing that gets to hang out for a couple turns at the very least.
Yeah. So now it's hope for either like a Bug Buzz crit. The Extreme Speed is going to come through. It's still going to do significant damage if it is the choice band variant. And Dragonite do quite a bit of damage there, but I think the Bitter Blade from Ceruledge is going to tidy this up. I'm wondering, I can't remember the item on that Pokemon, whether or not it was choice banned. Oh no, it's Life Orb, that's why. Life Orb lets you do 20% extra damage at the cost, or 30% extra damage at the cost of 10% of your HP. Combine that with the 50% sharpness boost and then stab on Bitter Blade. You've got yourself a pretty deadly combination there.
Yeah, Life Orb is an item that you need to be using very carefully because it can backfire really hard. But
yeah.
Able to use that very intelligently.
Yeah, the nice thing about Bitter Blade is you will almost always regain the HP you would lose from Bitter Blade, which is a really nice place to put that. So if I'm Ganman, we know that Trick onto the Oricorio is huge. Not only do they lose the Clear Amulet, it basically disrupts the entire strategy. If I'm Nerdy Gnome, I also realize that.
Yes.
So it becomes the game of, well, do they lead Rotom and try to do that right away, knowing that the Oricorio likes to protect first?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we're seeing another Torkoal.
Yeah.
Switch come out. Absolutely. Yeah. Probably abandoning Oricorio altogether, I'd imagine.
Possibly. Another option that's actually pretty funny is you can lead Oricorio, Volcarona. You could keep the lead you have, and then you could swap in like Houndstone, for example. They're very physically oriented in attack. You don't really need the Assault Vest because of that. And then if you trick the Assault Vest onto yourself, then you can't use any status moves.
I see.
It's a little bit like 5-head looking ahead at the matchup, but it is something that is possible to consider.
Absolutely.
But it looks like, as we're seeing in team preview, Nerdy Gnome is actually going to take your advice and abandon the Oricorio altogether for this game too. Important to note that if Ganman wins this match, he will. I mean, this is it. He will win the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a very, very big match for Nerdy Gnome here.
Yeah,
a lot on the line.
Yeah.
So making these bold plays kind of needs to be what happens.
Yep. We see quite a different lead from Ganman as well with the Tinkaton Dragonite set. Yeah, we're gonna see that after you. Yeah, we're seeing Nerdy Gnome just wanna blow this up potentially. The worry being extreme speed, lowering the damage output from eruption, of course.
Yes.
So see what they go for. Also, if Dragonite does have to consider that if they do normal Terra, they do lose their resistance, which it looks like we are going to see the normal type.
I was hoping we would see the Fire Terra as well. Looks like we're doing that.
Yeah. So we're this also happens in speed order. So the Dragonite will terrestrialize first before the Torkoal. If the extreme speed's going into the Torkoal, I think Torkoal can take it. It's pretty bulky. But if it's going into the Lilligant, it puts Nerdy Gnome in a very commanding position. So it's all about where this is headed. See the helping hand? That actually might be enough to put it over the edge if it's going into the Torkoal. And we see that it's not. It's going into the Lilligant, who is sashed. That was a critical hit, too. That was as much possible damage just to be held up by a little band. And now this is going to be a full health in the sun eruption.
Very excited.
Oh, and Dragonite lives.
Oh.
I was not... Oh, multi-scale. So it takes 25% less damage, I think. Brain to Cerebi. Cerebi is my best friend. Reducing the amount of damage taken when it's at full HP. Yeah. So it mitigated that damage pretty well.
Still big getting one of them down.
Yes, absolutely. So now Nerdy Gnome is considering his options. With Gallade up there, you do have to be careful about like Psycho Cut going into either of the Pokemon in the back. Can also just let Lilligant hit Torkoal get another free eruption off at full HP. So do you extreme speed the Torkoal? Do you extreme speed the Lilligant so it can't move as fast? There is a ton of options here.
Absolutely.
We're going to see Nerdy Gnome take it up to the very last second to decide what he wants to do. The Gallade's going to protect, which is pretty big for the side of Nerdy Gnome. Extreme speed, even if it goes into Lilligant, which it looks like it's going to, this is still a free full health eruption, which should KO the Dragonite, since multi-scale is now off. Important to note that when Torkoal is at full health, eruption is a base power of 150 before stab bonus. And so this is double. So the fact that it did half health with multi-scale up is pretty massive.
That is tough.
Yeah.
Luckily able to finish it off at the very least.
Yeah. With Delayed, so the Lilligant feints, putting you in kind of an interesting position where you have Quaquaval and Houndstone. You're going up against Gallade. Both can hit those respective Pokemon for super effective. And the Gallade still does have sharpness on it itself. And with the Ceruledge coming out, so we could see the skill swap. We could see something else. Important to note that Ceruledge probably has Flash Fire, so Eruption is not going to do what you're going to want it to.
Mm-hmm.
And again, reminder that the Ceruledge is actually faster than the Houndstone. And interesting to note that we don't see the Rotom this time through. They must great adjustment from Ganman.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing some interesting deliberation from Nerdy Gnome about what he wants to go for here.
Yeah, and a reminder that if Nerdy Gnome doesn't take this is the end of the tournament. So Nerdy Gnome is being very careful about what they're going to be pulling out here. Yeah,
so we do see the Bitter Blade going into the Houndstone to get the knockout. after the skill swap from Gallade. Now, important to know, with sharpness now on Cerulege, it does mean that it can hit Eruption into it. Not so much into the Gallade, but it can into the Cerulege.
Mhm. I envy your knowledge of all these tiny little intricacies of what will happen with what.
It just comes from playing a lot and watching way too much content of Pokemon. So we are gonna see the Psycho Cut coming into the Qual, and it's gonna live. And Bitter Blade's gonna go into the Torkoal. It's not gonna KO. This does give Nerdy Gnome quite the out.
Mm-hmm.
So we see Cerulege Life Orb damage coming down. Aqua Step into Cerulege. This should be the KO. And it is. That speed boost is going to be pivotal.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge for Nerdy Gnome. Needed that hang on, needed that speed boost, needed that KO. Got all three.
And the attack boost from Moxie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. Why'd it faint? Life Orb. Oh my gosh. The Life Orb damage made it KO. And then and then the Flash Fire on a Gallade from the skill swap means that it doesn't take any damage from this.
Oh, that's...
Torkoal's still sitting there at 95, with basically Clear Smog being the only way to damage it. Now, I do like this move here. Just kind of like chill, let it play out. Take the Protect, let the Sandstorm do its chip damage, and hope that Clear Smog can do it.
Down to a 1v1 here.
There's the Sandstorm damage. It does a good amount. You really got to hope that that Clear Smog does enough. It's not a ton of damage. I think it's like 40, 50 base power. It's not stab. Oh, but that only did like 30 something. But that's less than Nerdy Gnome would like. Sandstorm damage continues. The nice thing is that at the very least, Nerdy Gnome can stall this out. Let the Sandstorm take its chip damage by protecting every other turn.
Yeah, keep switching back. Maybe if push comes to shove, try and pull off 2 in a row, but that's going to be very risky. Very risky to do.
Yeah, and I think we're probably coming up on the last turn or two of Sandstorm. Important to note that the very last turn won't actually do any damage. It'll fizzle out before it does damage. Basically, Nerdy Gnome here is hoping for a critical hit with the Clear Smog partway into this. If Gallade has something like Swords Dance here to kind of secure itself the KO, it'll be in a really nice position. It's Sacred Sword, which is an interesting move. I think it's the same base power. Oh yeah, Sandstorm's aside, so it's actually going to do damage. But it basically removes defense buffs, or it ignores defense buffs. So Nerdy Gnome is here with the basically having to have Clear Smog kind of do it. So he's really looking for not a crit onto him, and crit into the Gallade. So we see the Sacred Sword. It's gonna secure the knockout. Sacred Sword having a must be higher damage output than Psycho Cut, but really well played from Nerdy Gnome. That is going to make Ganman our first ever VGC Goat Cup champion with an undefeated run.
Absolutely incredible from Ganman. And it's like, Nerdy Gnome was quite the contender there in the finale. Ganman was able to fight through even that. Ganman was looking multiple turns ahead, able to predict many different scenarios, and was able to take care of that. Just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, really nice place too with the skill swap to put sharpness on Cerulege. You can make better use of it, and ultimately Flash Fire getting put onto Gallade was ultimately what secured that game. Even at half health, had Torkoal been able to click Eruption as opposed to Clear Smog, with Terrifier would have done so much more, and could have secured that game for Nerdy Gnome. But we saw some really, really good Pokemon today.
Yeah, and if these teams decide to come through into the next event, I'm going to be expecting some really intelligent switches based off of what they've already built upon. All of these teams had something strong going for them today, and so I'm excited to see what's going to happen next if they bring it forward into the next one.
Yeah. So if you guys are watching in chat, I just spammed in chat a bunch. If you want to come be a part of something like this, if you saw what we had today and you were like, I want to be a part of that, click the link, come join the Discord, the VGC Goat Cup Discord. There will be more of these. I'm cooking up some ideas to do this kind of more traditional tournaments, kind of like this one, as well as some fun gimmicky tournaments where we have different methods for picking our Pokemon and having to build teams around. I've got some ideas cooking. I'm really excited. But thank you all so much. And thank you again to our competitors. Everyone did a really, really, really nice job building teams and getting their stuff ready. Sometimes RNG is not on our side. Sometimes we misclick, but man, we had some really fun matches to commentate. And thank you to Sterling for coming in to co-commentate this with me, so I wasn't by my lonesome. It was so much fun having you here.
Happy to be the layman that can help translate things for the audience, because I learned a lot. I'm really excited to see what some of these teams do moving forward.
Yeah,
very good work from everybody. Yeah.
So, but I think that's gonna do it for me. I'm gonna hop off here.
I'm gonna stay.
Yeah. Sterling's taking over my stream from here on out. But no, thank you guys again so much for tuning in. And as always, we'll catch you all next time.